How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off. These other doofuses up on board. Doofuses. It's not a word we use enough.
What's the plural of doofuses? Doofusi?
Doofi.
I was thinking doofusai, but doofi rolls. Rolls off the tongue a little bit better, doesn't it?
Fucking doofi.
You fucking doofi. Just me.
I don't like it.
Dear Ron and the doofi. That's how you guys address our emails henceforth. Speaking of email, I'm going to get right to this one because it's so funny how often this happens in life. And I realize that it probably doesn't happen all that often. But we notice them when they do. When you're thinking about somebody or something that you haven't thought about or haven't heard from or seen anything about for years. And then all of a sudden, there they are. So just 2 or 3 days ago, I was thinking about a long time Tales from the Space Pod listener, Michael, otherwise known in the forums, RIP, as Fatty Fatty Fat Fat.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know you guys will remember him, and I'm guessing that a large portion of anyone that's listening now that listened to the old show will definitely remember him. He had a hell of a story. The episode from Tales from the Space Pod was called, I believe, Wheel, sorry, Michael, Wheel of Misfortune, because he had been on the TV show Wheel of Fortune, but he had also contracted the incredibly devastating, I can't remember the actual title of it, but the flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah, I remember.
And he had to get like half
I think
his torso
I think it's MRSA.
removed.
I think it's MRSA is the acronym. I can't remember what it stands for.
I think there's a few variations, but what you need to know is that he had to have basically from his midsection all the way up. I remember he lost a nipple, like they had to cut it all out. He got it from putting on a stick of he had a deodorant stick. He was just putting on some deodorant, and it scratched his armpit, which I've done like 1,000 times since he was on the show. And every time it happens, we're like, oh fuck. Oh, fuck.
Here we go.
This is it.
Rest in peace,
this
nipple.
This is how you lose a tit. This is how you, Ronald W. Evans, lose a tit. But it doesn't happen. It's rare. But it's sort of like staph. Well, it is a type of staph, I think, or it's in that same world. And we have this stuff sort of crawling on us at any given time. It's kind of part of our natural, like it's either in our nose or it can be on our person, but it takes like an immune compromisation, is that a word? I guess I could go the other way around. A compromised immune system or a scratch, the right kind of scratched for it to get into your system. And then, boy, not everyone survives it. So, yeah, amazing. And so all of a sudden, out of the blue, I see in my email, urgent wiping direction. And I saw the urgent, I was like, oh, what's this? Wiping direction. I was like, okay, feedback. No mystery. But then I open it up and it says, hello, I hope this is the right email. You may remember me from such diseases as flesh-eating bacteria. Anyway, over the course of the pandemic, I went ahead and lost a literal 150 pounds.
Fucking Christ.
He
Way
says,
to go,
pause
man.
for applause, and you wouldn't have needed to add that because we would have done that anyhow. 150 pounds is...
Wow.
Where I'm at, I needed to lose like 20 pounds to get to what he lost.
That's just the weight limit in the kennel.
That's a person. It's almost another person. It's almost another person. I mean, imagine carrying another person around on your back.
It's absolutely another person. It's a skinny dude or
piggybacking on you.
Smaller woman. Amazing. And he goes on to say, I used to be fatty, fatty, fat, fat, and now I'm doughy, doughy, sag, sag.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Now that I'm thinner, I can see how wiping front to back is possible. But I still prefer back to front. Fat habits die slowly.
Good man. Good man.
Well, you know how I feel. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know that weight is an important factor in wiping technique, and I did not...
I 100% agree with that.
I did not, no pun intended, weigh this when we had this initial discussion. And then he ends with, I also enjoy reminiscing about the record-scratching moment when you hit that voice actor guy, Vic Mignogna, with the which way do you wipe question. He says, I was very proud of the way the question was composed, but I was most pleased with the way it was delivered. Slam dunk, Swiss fucking watch, best wishes. Best wishes. That's a great way to sign an email. Well, thank you, Michael, great. And congratulations on the insane weight loss. And yeah, a record-scratching moment is a good way to describe it. It comes up from time to time, and I can't think about it without I can feel my face getting red.
Oh, yeah. You can hear it in your voice, even. I can see your cheeks getting red in your voice.
Things that I do for this program. That was the last time. That was the last time that I really decided to be that much of an ass face to just any of our guests. Now, some of them made sense.
But you're not rude. You're not rude. It was a like he said.
Some people would consider it rude.
I guess.
I think he would. He did.
I've been used to you asking me which direction I wipe my ass for 15 years. So it's
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're coming into it cold, and 90% of the interview was on the level, so to speak. Because I was a fan. I was a fan of, I don't know, a lot of the voiceover stuff, but I knew Star Trek, what was it? Star Trek Continues. And it was his fan fiction, basically continuation of the sagas of Star Trek. And I thought it was so well done. And I'm sure it's still up at StarTrekContinues.com. The foxy redhead, who I can't remember her character's name, but that was Vic Mignogna's fiance. I don't think they ever got married. That is the voice you can hear because she's sitting next to him while he's being interviewed by us after I asked the infamous question, which way do you wipe? There was just a second of silence and all you could hear was her say, what? It is a classic moment, and you don't get those classic moments without having to suffer a little bit and put your neck out. And
blood, sweat, and tears.
I was willing to, we've interviewed some pretty big guests, and sometimes I get nervous about it. And I'm not trained in any of this. I just try to have a conversation, but I also want to interview them. I want to get questions out that I know they'll want listeners to hear. They're usually promoting something. I want to be sure to do a good interview. I'm interested in doing a good interview. I also just want to be a little special and a little, specific to us. And sometimes that flies and sometimes it don't. We've had people on that just, I get a vibe, okay, they're not playing, so let's just stick to the script here. And then some people will play right along. I wish I could name names right now, but I'm spacing on so many of these guests that we've had. But some of them were just great. They got it. And Vic Mignogna, it wasn't like, he rolled with it well enough, but immediately got back on targ, which was, by the way, for the record, front to back. Like an American. Say what you want about him and his allegations. Stand up guy as far as I'm concerned. I'll take that back.
Pattern. I see a pattern.
There are allegations. I don't think anything was ever really proven. I don't think any charges were really pressed. I could be wrong. I haven't followed that case. But
Vic, if you're out there, we're dying for an update.
Sure, give us a call back. See if you've switched directions.
Yeah, you're among friends.
You got your ex-fiance's phone number?
Let us know how
Here
all
she's
that
single.
Shit's going. Let us know all that shit's going for you.
Yeah, it is probably... God, I wonder. We're probably getting close to starting to book comic book conventions, and we'll see if his phone starts a ring. And I saw that New York City Comic Con actually went ahead and scheduled theirs. It's in December. Oh, no, maybe I'm thinking of Emerald City. One of the big ones scheduled where it usually happens earlier in the year. And they pushed it to December. We should be okay by then. Maybe, as you guys know, conventions are the epitome of germ spread.
Schedule stuff for 2022 now. Like people are starting to announce, we're playing in 2022, or we got this festival coming up in 2022. So it seems like most people are kind of like let's just hedge our bets and go for next year.
Well, there's like a 2 or 3 month period where all of a sudden you started seeing people booking tours like Ween.
Yeah.
And then one by one, they all started canceling. And I'm like, yeah, we're not there yet. And, 1 or 2 states having a flare up can be enough to just throw the whole thing off for a tour. Those things are calculated pretty down to the minute details, they barely work financially.
It was a slim
to begin
fucking
with.
margin on all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't just miss a few venues and say, well, we'll wing it. And then, if a couple of states shut down, then a couple more states are going to shut down. And we really don't know what's going to happen. Our governor just came out this last week and said that it sounded like there was going to be announcements of shutdowns. Again, going back to phase 2, and, Seattle, King County area was supposed to be one of these places because their numbers are climbing back up. But his announcement was just kind of, I don't know, it was weird. Like, well, we'll see in 2 weeks and where we're at. I don't know what that achieved.
If you looked at the fucking chart they were presenting, it was literally like we just hit a peak, we'd leveled off, and there was just the hint of a downturn. Well, we could be going back down,
Yeah.
So, and I think that obviously the vaccine availability is playing a big part in that, in our state specifically, but we will see.
I want to talk about that in just a minute. Don't let me, well, fuck it. I'll get back to where I was planning on going, but I want to talk about your guys' experience in getting the vaccine, because I think some people just go into a clinic and getting it, and it's just like going to a clinic and getting a shot. But here, I went to, out of the Town Toyota Center where we held WenCon. There was like all these crazy lanes and checkpoints. I counted 7 checkpoints that I had to go through, answer some question, and then get in a lane, and then someone brought me a little flag. They wrote something on my windshield, then I went into another line across the fucking road and then back into the parking lot, and I winded all the way around. There's maybe like 12 other cars in this entire empty parking lot. I could tell they were set up for, if 100 people wanted to come get vaccinated that day, they probably could have handled it. I get that. But, I didn't go get the vaccine immediately. I waited about a week or 2 to get it after, it was available to everybody, basically. Anyone over 16 anyway. I hadn't seen that anywhere. I haven't seen that anywhere else. And it looked like Armageddon because the National Guard was there. A dude in camo is the one that gave me the shot.
Wenatchee?
It looked like the division. It looked like the division, right? Where it's like all people in like weird fucking hazmat suits and like.
It was the strangest fucking thing. I was like, I was not anxious to come get this shot, but sitting here for 20 minutes and seeing like military fatigues and.
I almost feel like someone was fucking LARPing to fucking, you know what I mean, just to have some fun with the whole thing, like. Oh yeah, man. These people all think that this is some big fucking conspiracy with 5G and shit. Let's give them a show, baby.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Something was kooky because as I described this to people that either didn't go out there or they don't live in Wenatchee, they're like, what? Like fucking what? Because they didn't have that experience at all. But so you guys, Lyle, have you gotten vaccinated?
That's a negative, sir.
Chris, you have. Jon-Mark, have you done it yet?
I had my first shot. I get my second one on Sunday. Got 2 days off after that, just in case. I'm gonna just like sit on the couch and wrap up in my floof blanket and watch Dark Shadows.
Yeah, you got to make a plan. You got to make a recovery plan. I'm half hoping for it. Not really, but from even
finally get through that second half of that iCarly season that you've just been toiling with.
I'll sit and just rest, which is what my body desperately needs.
But my first shot, I'm expecting my second shot to go pretty much like my first shot was. So I remember seeing the information saying that, starting on this day, I got an email from my health insurance, right? And I go through Kaiser, and they were like, starting on this date, everybody can get the shot, right? And I was like, okay, well, let me just click through here and see if I can sign up or when I can sign up or whatever, and it just like basically took me straight into the whole sign up thing. It was like, oh, I can sign up now and then be ready when the shot's available, right? Basically. So I just did the thing, and they're like, here, these are the days they're available. I was like, okay, I picked one. And on the day, we drove down to, is at a clinic, which is part of the hospital system down here in downtown Tacoma. So it's kind of like, imagine like Ron, where there's like the clinic outbuilding, well, it's not the hospital, but it's like the clinic, you know. But here it's kind of like next door to the hospital kind of situation. And I just walked in and I was like, and they had someone sort of at the door, and I was like, yeah, I'm here to get my shot. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, go up to, and they gave me like a number tag that showed that I had like given them my information or something. It's like, okay, go up to the 4th floor. Went the elevator, went up and went to the desk, and they were like, yeah, here you go. Here's your appointment for the second shot. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, go get in line. And it was like literally like I was in line for like maybe 2 minutes, and they just like put me in a room. The nurse was like, here you go. Here's your shot. Just kind of like chit-chatted about how her day was going. And you know what I mean? And that was that. It was just like in, bam, out.
Well, I wish I would have filmed my experience, because it does sound totally unique. Although I know a lot of people here that have gone through and done it this way, and it wasn't hard. It was just odd and strangely and unnecessarily complicated and anxiety inducing. I mean, it just triggered a lot of like end of the world movies.
I wonder if they're expecting some kind of like protestation or resistance shenanigans.
It didn't seem like that. It just felt like it just, I don't know. It seems strangely biblical, if I'm being quite honest. It's like none of this was necessary. Like if you want to set it up to like the checkpoints, completely necessary. Have one person do all this checkpointing thing, get all the information, and then say, okay, go to lane 1. That should be it. Then I wait for my shot. Every one of those other checkpoints were just like stupid additional questions that first person could have asked me. It's like, I don't know. The whole thing felt like a setup, not a setup like something that's happening there or it's a joke, but something preliminary. And I hate to even phrase it that way because it might trigger some conspiracy theory minded people, but the whole thing felt to me like this is gearing us up for something down the road. This is unnecessarily inflated.
That's why I was saying I think maybe somebody was just like, let's fuck with these people a little bit and like make it look like it's the fucking Division, and we'll do some fucking cosplaying and make it more of a big deal.
I don't hear anybody else talking about it.
Did it make you feel, Ron?
Did it make me feel?
Did it make you feel like you're with you in your questions and your?
Well, it sounds like it creeped him out, which I think was probably their goal.
Well, could be. Finish your thought, Lyle.
Giving your answers to their questions. Did it make you feel like you were going to get the shot, or you're going to get a placebo?
I never thought about a placebo. I never really felt like anything was nefarious with what was happening. I just thought that it just seemed odd. It just seemed inexplicably set up. And it is, and it was, of course, because most people just went to a clinic, or most people just did it like a drive up, like Jon-Mark was kind of saying, this like holdover auxiliary thing.
I don't think anybody really understands what you're talking about. Seriously, the parking lot he's talking about is enormous.
That was worded so weirdly.
The parking lot for the place Ron's talking about is just gigantic. It's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's a big place.
And so the way they set everything up, it was like a giant labyrinth. And what he's saying is like there's rows of cars. What I didn't understand was why everybody was marking on the windshields.
It's all part of the. It's all part of to put you in a different lane. They were trying to socially distance you in your car as a carload, so that you wouldn't end up. But again, it seems like all of that was just unnecessary.
What I'm guessing is that they were expecting people from a larger part of the area, right? Like people outside of Wenatchee and surrounding environs to be all coming there at one time to get their shot, and that there was going to be, you know what I mean? I think they were like,
I don't know. The more we talk about it, the more confused I am. I'm gonna look into it.
Like they were anticipating a larger volume of people at one time that they needed to handle than they were going to get.
But again, why do you need to mark my windshield? Why do I need to talk to 8 people to do this? It just seems like, I don't know. It's confusing. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to go try to find out.
Do you have to get a second shot?
Yeah, I got to go a little over a week.
Run the same gauntlet?
I'm assuming. Yeah.
Film the whole thing.
Yeah,
film the whole process.
Absolutely will. I absolutely will.
From the roadside, it looks like a giant. What do they call those go-kart tracks?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it looks like concert. It reminds me of, like when they have event parking sometimes, they'll just like snake you around and they got it blocked off in ribbons and then people pointing you which way to go. That was what most of it was. But to Lyle's point, it wasn't even just the parking lot. It was, it started. So when you drive, you guys will know this, when instead of heading left into the parking lot at the Town Toyota Center, right across from that is Walla Walla Park and the Columbia River. Well, you had to start at Walla Walla Park. You had to wind all the way down through the entire park driveway. That was your sign-in. That was your check-in point. They would ask the initial questions. They would write on your car, and then you went and waited at the stoplight and then crossed the road into the parking lot and then got into the line. So I don't know. Maybe Jon-Mark's got the best answer so far. It felt like someone was fucking with me, but I'm going to try to get some answers and see why. Like everything I do is always just weirder. It's a weirder experience than what everyone else goes through, no matter fucking what.
Yeah, that's true.
But I know a lot of people.
Are you perma-fried, Ron? Are you perma-fried?
I don't know. What does that mean?
You took too much LSD back in the day, right? And everything's
I didn't
like
take
a
enough.
trip to you now.
I think I would have liked to have taken enough to where I just don't care, or everything doesn't make sense. I got too much reasoning happening to enjoy life. But so that's that.
Jon-Mark, question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Your second shot, did that make you sick?
I get it on this weekend,
yet.
so I'm not sure.
But
it's the Moderna one. So everybody I've talked to that's had the second Moderna shot, also Jen, she was basically knocked out for a whole fucking day.
I did. I got really sick. Yeah, I got sick for 8 hours. I had to take 2 fucking baths like a little girl because I was so cold. 1.5 fever.
That's about 80% of the people I've talked to that had the shot. I'm in a bad spot, dude. My immune system's already shit. I've already been to the ER. There's other things. My lungs are all fucked up right now, apparently. Yeah. So that's the last thing I want to do.
I also know somebody who had this. I don't know if it was the Pfizer or the Moderna shot that he had, but he was one of those outliers that had an extreme allergic reaction to it. Like, even after waiting, like he even waited, obviously like they want you to wait 15 minutes after you get it or whatever. Like, oh, it's fine. Goes home. And then suddenly he's like jaws clenching up and fucking tight. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck is happening to me? And he went back to the emergency room and they're like, oh yeah, you're having like an extreme allergic reaction to this. This is very super rare. Yeah. But this is what it is. And they fixed him up, but it was just like, wow.
They shot him.
They took care of him.
I took the Pfizer, so it'll be interesting to compare.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have as much of the Moderna around here. So everyone I knew had taken the Pfizer, so I felt, my family, and I feel like these things can sometimes be genetic, and they did pretty well with it. So I was like, all right, I'll try that. But I'll keep you posted. All around, I'm more interested in finding out what the fuck was with me having to run the gauntlet to get what most folk didn't have to run a gauntlet for. But
Did you just say Ron the Gauntlet?
Do I say Ron the Gauntlet? That should be a new podcast, one that I won't host. Before we move on, I wanted to mention I have been eking out here and there, and I've been going back to one of my favorite, well, not my very favorite place to work down at the market, because that's gone forever. That was at a brew pub that's no longer there, but right across the concourse is a little restaurant, a couple places I've been going, and just doing my work on my laptop, working on the paper, and it kind of feels like old times. It's still kind of ghost towny for the most part, but occasionally it will get busy. But I was there a couple of days ago, and somebody just came right up to me. I looked up to, see what I would assume would be a friend, but it was a face I didn't really recognize, and he just went right into it. And he's like, so I've been listening a lot, and, he started talking about this episode or this comment, and he introduced himself. His name is Tyson, and he's been listening to the podcast for quite a while. He moved up from somewhere, I want to say like Arizona, but I could be wrong. Doesn't matter, I guess. He moved up here recently, and I'm not sure if he's like really found his foothold here, but he's a truck driver. So he's on the road quite a bit, and he said, in your mind and your loneliness, and it can be kind of depressing. It can be kind of a lonely job out there on the road. And he said that this show really gets him through those long drives. And we had a nice it was a quick chat, but it was a nice chat. And so it was good to meet you, Tyson. And I promised I would bring you up on the show. The funny thing was, like, maybe about a week later, I went to go pick up some barbecue, our local Sweetwood. I keep talking about that. We're just hooked on that shit. So been getting takeout, and he was in there eating. He's like, please stop stalking me, Ron. So it was fun to see him twice, but the timing of that message was key, because I had just texted you guys it was somewhere around there anyway, that our downloads are significantly down. And I was like, I don't know if there's anything to be done. The world of podcasting has changed so much since we started doing it. Conversational, casual podcasts in general, especially if you're not celebrities, aren't really what people are listening to anymore. Everyone wants a slick, glossy production, and if it's about true crime, they don't want any shoot the shit. They want the facts and then the credit music. And I get that. I listen to a lot of those shows, but there's no personality to them. And I think that I wasn't having like a moment of doubt. It was just one of those frustrating moments, like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, it's like, it's a lot of work to put out even the shoot the shit episodes every week. You got to take the time to do something, come up with something, and then edit and put them out. It's time. It's not the world's biggest grind, but so you want people to fucking listen. And we're not talking like we're down to 20 downloads. We're still in the hundreds, but at one time we were like 1,500 to 2,000 was about where we were averaging, and we're now, if we hit 400, that's a good episode for us. Most episodes are somewhere below that. Decent enough numbers like for nobody.
The lifetime of the episode, or like the first week or the first month, or what?
They taper off. And obviously we've had some episodes like the Vic Mignogna episode, where if a news story breaks, those downloads go through the roof, 2 years later. And sometimes that turns people on, and, they're forever. That's good and bad. And I sent
Sometimes
Tyson.
They think we're a poo-poo podcast.
Yeah, I think they mostly
Funny
do.
Queens, I think, was my favorite.
Yeah. And, sometimes people, I sent Tyson a link to the old shows, and I gave him the usual warning. It's like, the further back you go, the wackier it gets, and we've done a lot of growing up and a lot of changing. I've changed like some of my political stances since then, and I've changed the way there's words that I don't use anymore. And I think this goes for most of us on the show, but it definitely goes for me. So it's like with the warning, but I don't want to hide it. I don't want to download it. It's not like there's anything too shameful back there. It's just I'm a different person. And the quality, audio quality kind of stuff. We've never been like a terrific audio quality. That's the other thing that's changed too. People used to be more forgiving of different mic tones or Skype calls and all that, and our sound's fine, but it's not that slick, super punchy, super crisp NPR broadcast quality that everybody and their fucking uncle's podcast sounds like these days. But I like the show that we do, and I like the balance that we've struck with bringing news stories. And tonight I have a bit of a soup de jour, but it's loosely put together. It's a grim and pleasant. I do sort of regret not building the new show when we changed it to How Bizarre. I kind of wish I would have gone with grim and pleasant, and that just is the show. Because I really like doing these grim and pleasant episodes.
Why not do more of them? Start doing them more often.
Yeah, I might.
Like a monthly thing, and
But it also is like, would it be fun if I did it every week? It's just one of those things where it's like sometimes you think the thing, it's got to be special, and then when it's no longer special, it no longer really works.
Well, nice.
I never really feel that way about News Quiz. Is that wrong? I guess I'm always. I sent you a message today, and I usually like I can like write a News Quiz and know immediately, like, I hope that's passable, or fuck those guys, they're so fucked.
No, I think it's appropriate that you don't doubt News Quiz, because that's a different thing. That's a segment, and there's also something about just anchoring the show. Like, I think there's a freedom and a consistency in that. Like, no matter what, it's going to, sometimes you miss a week or whatever, but for the most part, we're going to end with weird trivia. And that's the one like solid part of the show in terms of consistency. But anyway, I don't want to get off track and talk about the show forever. But
plus people can play along, in their mind when they're listening. They can just be like, "Oh, that's yeah."
Well, see, that's why I like the conversational aspect of the podcast, because that's the number one compliment that we get, is that it does feel like people are hanging out with their friends, and they do weigh in, whether they're listening in their car all by themselves and they just say it out loud. They make some stupid joke that we probably would have laughed at if they were in the room. It's what they would have said, or they say it out loud to whoever's in the car with them, or they're just enjoying it out on the middle of a long truck drive. I don't know. It was the great compliment to hear at that moment, because so many people are hooked on the numbers game. This goes back to the social dilemma. They were really good at pointing this psychological hang up that a lot of us have now. Really good at pointing that out. We're all about the numbers, that dopamine that fires, and oh, why did that only get 16 likes when my last post got 220? I'm slipping. It's not about the numbers, it's about the connections that we are making with people, and there are still hundreds of people that choose to tune into this thing as often as we'll put it out. And so it was a good time to charge the batteries again and taking a couple weeks off. And that's just something we're going to have to do moving forward, because Comet Week, when I put that magazine out, it's a 32-pager. The bulk of that work is done.
I got my first one. It's so cool.
Oh, you got your first one? I thought I sent you a couple at this point.
I have one, Ron.
Which?
But I haven't been to the mailbox in a bit. I have to.
Okay.
Downstairs.
Yeah, you should have a brand new one.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I can tell how much work you put into that.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a good time, and it's a good chunk, and it's starting to make money. Things are really taking off with it in an exciting way, but that means more time spent on it. But all that said, we appreciate any feedback. We appreciate you guys listening, and like I said, I don't think there's a crisis with the show. It just is what it is, and I think overall, it's more about the times have shifted concerning podcasts. We just talked about this, so I hate to be repeating, but it goes back to that thing where it's like, when we first started, hardly anybody we told that we did a podcast to even knew what a fucking podcast was. They may have heard about it, but they had no idea how you do it. And think about those early podcasts. Like Smodcast was one of the earliest ones I got into. Sam and Jim Go to Hollywood was one of the first ones I got into. That was just two dudes talking about their experiences as screenwriters getting a job in Hollywood, and I was getting into filmmaking at the time, so I was listening to that all the time, and it was just two guys talking. I loved the unstructured nature. Now we've gone all the way back to things either are just like radio or they're just audio versions of Dateline, and that's fine, but that doesn't have to be every show.
A lot of people's opinions of podcasts have changed too, to the sense where it's visual. Everybody has cams, and they actually visually,
Yeah, but I watch some, but most of it is just like there's no reason to watch them. They're just
Tom Green did it before Twitch.
It's just seeing somebody's face talk. I don't really get much out of watching podcasts.
Yeah.
Now there are some shows like H3. What is it? H3. There are some shows that their shtick is like watching YouTube videos and commenting on them, or they're showing a lot of. Like we've done this with Christopher when he was doing some of the Comet News Desk stuff. We would show stories and play videos and talk about them. That can be fun. But if you're not doing that kind of a show, I don't understand just wanting to see people.
It's optional. If somebody wants to go on YouTube and watch, us talking in a four-way split thing, they have that. Or if they're at the gym and they just want to be running on the treadmill, they have the option just to audibly listen to us.
I think it's just.
I'm sorry, Lau. I'm just saying that our podcasts that we have done it is in the day of the dinosaur, and it's been that way for probably quite a while.
Yeah, so, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I would disagree about that, because there's a ton of podcasts I listen to that have no video component whatsoever, and I don't I don't care.
Yeah, but the conversational, a bunch of nobody. Podcasting used to be a bunch of nobodies, and a few celebrities would get involved, like a few. When that started to change and more celebrities got involved, that's when it really, that's when the money came into podcasting and big time advertising campaigns and companies. And anyway, all boring stuff. But we wanted to, I wanted to share the meat of that story, which was sometimes you get the right amount of feedback at the right time, and it makes you keep on going. Not that I was, again, worried about quitting. No. It wasn't really the plan. We kind of gone through this before, and
we always, we go through ups and downs with this, and it's a lot of work, but it's also really, I remember specifically right after we got back from basically quarantine hard, it just felt good to have that place to go to. Like I'd not looked forward to podcasting like I did these last few months. It's so strange. It's been a really almost therapeutic for me. So I know it's a lot of work, but thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being here, listeners.
Yeah, it sometimes is a lot of work. I did a lot of little research for this grim and pleasant episode, but it's also, when you remember, I always try to do the little exercise. Seth Godin has really been my guru lately, and he's like, I guess you could call him a motivational speaker, but he's really geared toward like marketing and social media and how to look at your following in a different light, and not going with the numbers and going with the idea of connectivity. And if you can find 1,000 true followers, you can make a career based on that if you're doing it right and you come at it with the right attitude. And it's not a gimmick. It's not a shtick. It's just a different way of thinking about things and not getting obsessed with, I got to get more and more and more and more likes, which is what everyone's obsessed with. More downloads, more follows. You got to have a better experience with the people who actually like you. And, we have all been guilty in one way or another of not appreciating what we have, because we're down 100 episodes from where we were 6 months ago, or 100 downloads, and it's like, but we still have hundreds of people tuning in. It's just, and it's not necessarily just like looking at the bright side of things and looking at it as a glass half full. It's a different way of thinking about what we're even doing and who we're doing it for. And it's so easy to forget how many people are out there, not just listening, but they are like, we're a big part of their life in one way or another because we don't see them. So I always try to do this little exercise where I picture them like in an auditorium, 300 people sitting in front of you in an auditorium. I'd be pretty fucking pumped to do a podcast in front of all of those people, or play a show, or do whatever. Tell fart jokes. Like, that's incredible that many people showed up to listen to us. Just do whatever. And that's the reality of it. It's just because they're not all together and we don't see them. It's an easy exercise to forget. Anywho, before we get on to my grim and pleasant, anything you guys want to throw on the fire? The microphone is yours.
Yes. I would like to talk about... Whoa.
Wow, excuse me. This is great. Jon-Mark just stepping right up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so something that it crossed my path, probably a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. But like, I think yesterday was when something really kind of stuck in my craw and started grinding my gears, as it were.
Yeah, grind it, baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Have you guys seen, or do you know the phenomenon of the middle-aged white lady does horrible food crimes in the kitchen genre of TikTok or YouTube videos or whatever? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No. Is this like something they act out, or like they accidentally?
Okay, so something that I've seen.
TikTok confuses me.
A couple times, over the last couple months, is there's these videos of it's usually like a middle-aged white woman in a kitchen, and they're doing some horrible thing with food. And like, I'll give you the example of the one that I saw. I think it was yesterday.
where there's this woman and she takes this like, I think it's like a half-gallon jar of Prego, a couple of them, and she just starts pouring it out on like this like marble slab on her kitchen countertop.
I did see that one.
And she like does a couple of them, and then she starts just like pouring meatballs, like tossing meatballs down there, and then like a bunch of fucking powdered, you know, like Parmesan cheese, and then takes a big thing of noodles and puts it, and then starts mixing it together or whatever. And what's happening here is there's a few things happening here, and you see the like. So I don't click on these videos because I don't want to give them any fucking traction.
Right.
But if you're looking at it on like Twitter, you see the preview, and you can watch most of the video just like as the preview of whoever tweeted it, right? Mm-hmm. And so but I read the comments, and most of the comments are people like saying, what the fuck is happening here? Like, what a waste of food, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like they're like taking it seriously. You know what I mean? What's actually going on here is that these people have figured out that they can work the outrage algorithms that social media represents to parlay this type of thing, no matter what they're like. They're not doing this because they think it's like, this is like a real way to make spaghetti for a bunch of people. No. What they're doing is they're counting on people looking at this video and hate tweeting it, being like, what the fuck is this happening? Fucking American culture's gone off the rails. And it's like, this is not American culture. This is just somebody like knowing that they will get like. So I saw this video yesterday, and the first time I saw it on YouTube yesterday, it had like 800,000 something likes. And the last time I saw somebody tweet it today, last time I saw somebody tweet it today was Patton Oswalt, and when he retweeted it today, it had like almost 6 million fucking views. Mm-hmm. So what's happening here is these people know that they're gonna go viral, and they can fucking then bank on like putting ads on it somehow, or somehow monetizing it, because it's like you get 6 million fucking views on a video, you can make some fucking money off that, right? And that's what's happening. So they know that they're how to work the system, and it really pisses me off, because it's like, so it pisses me off in a couple of different ways. It pisses me off because the people that I'm seeing comment on it don't seem to realize that they're being duped.
No.
Yeah.
And it's like, that makes me mad for obvious reasons, because in the age we're living in, where people see shit and they're like, oh my God. And you know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not real.
It's just fake as fuck. Yeah.
Exactly. And the second reason I'm pissed about it is because, like, fucking, why can't I think of something like that we can just fucking do with minimal fucking effort and make a bunch of fucking money for basically doing nothing? You know what I mean?
Interesting that you're kind of inspired by this.
It is. Well,
like, how can I make this work for John Hates Mark?
Exactly. And, and I know it's hypocritical, but it's like, well, fuck. But like, and it's like, so what I've been doing the last, like, today, like yesterday and today, I started just like commenting on these fucking threads on Twitter, but like, don't fucking give this shit anymore. Stop retweeting this stuff. Stop giving this any more fucking bandwidth. Stop, you know what I mean? It's just like fucking bullshit. Just stop it.
Yeah. And every time you do that, it bumps it back up into the thread.
I'm sure it does, but it's just
like,
the
funny thing is that
I fucking can't help myself, because it's like, this is just like so infuriating.
Well, that guy, I can't remember his name, but that guy was like a magician, or like a fake magician or something. His earliest videos were just like, they're pretty good. Like they were, like brain teasers or puzzles. I remember one, he was like, he would pick your cards and he was always right. How the fuck does he do it? You got to go back and watch it a couple of times and you figure out the trick, but they were good tricks. Like they were tricks. So the interesting thing is, I think he and whatever company this has grown into probably started somewhat legit and just trying to make interesting videos, and then they either ran out of content or they did something. This was the same guy that I'm pretty sure this is the same guy that did the look what happens when you dip 2 water balloons into a bowl of Monster Energy drink, and then they form into one ball, and everyone's freaking out, and Monster Energy had to come out and say, this is not true. And I don't know if they got in trouble for that with Monster, but it was the same thing. That got so many shares because people were like, holy shit, look what kids are putting into their bodies. So that was a different tactic. But then they knew that they were going to get called out, that at some point somebody was going to be like, bullshit. But by then they're on to their next video, and that one's sitting somewhere at 150 million views. Fuckers. Like when you said 6 million views, these guys get crazy fucking views. And you got to remember too, people will share them and re-upload them. So when you're seeing 6, 7, 10 million, you might even see like a spin-off of that original upload.
The first time I saw the video in a tweet yesterday, just watching the preview said like 800-something thousand views. And the last time I saw it today, it was like 5.9 million. And I was like, God damn it, people, just fucking stop. Just stop.
Stop. Yeah, they've done some pretty ridiculous ones. And they're poorly acted, too. Like they don't even try because they know. This reminds me of, I don't know if it was HelloFresh. It was one of these kinds of, I think, food delivery at home companies. They had this one image that was of this dude chopping up some food, and is like he had one hand on the cutting board and that like a very prominent thumb right next to the camera, and the thumb was all like wrinkled from being wet, and it just looked unappealing, and it was just a gross photo. They kept that fucking photo up forever because it got millions of hate comments and shares and tweets like, look at this fucking thumb. Like, make that thumb go away.
That's the thing.
Like, for weeks and then months.
That's the thing, is that they know that they can use the hate angle. Yeah, it's
still
all
up.
about, like, hate. It's hate retweeting. It's like, and it's like, whoa, it fucking works, man.
And now they know. Works. And so the next one, they can do something else, you know? Why not put a fucking fingernail clipping on the fucking table? Why not? If it's going to get you 100 million views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, a lot of things that, like Crazy you were times. Talking about, the magician. I've seen a couple of those that were, you know, they're all viable, you know, kind of cool looking tricks and stuff. But if you look closely, you can tell that some of the transitions are just cuts. You know, they're fake edits.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the digital guys.
And so, like, you know, you want to honestly, you know, think that they're feeding you something, the truth, but you know, in reality, it's just an optical illusion where they're just, you know, literally editing the video to, you know, complete the trick. And sometimes it's pretty. I mean, sometimes
I think that's what makes me the most annoyed about the whole thing is that people see this stuff and they don't stop to think for a second that what they're seeing is not the truth of the reality of what the situation is.
And that's watching what the video now. Literally just jars of Prego.
You know, and it's
right
like,
onto the marble.
She's not actually saying that this is something that you should do to make spaghetti for a bunch of people. She's just doing it so that they can. They're working the algorithms. That's what they're doing, and it's just like.
And then we're all like, "What are you doing? You're not even cooking it."
Don't be duped. All the beating hearts of all the homeless people out there that need food. You know, that's who they're triggering.
Yeah, well, it gets them too. It gets everybody.
Triggering all kinds of shit, and it's just like, no, god damn it.
Yeah, I think that was actually the first comment I saw. Was something like, why would you waste this food to do a stupid video? It's like, you guys, you don't get it. Like,
and
these
some
guys
people
are rich. There's no way that these guys aren't wealthy. In fact, I gotta find.
And there
were
some people saying, "Oh, she's gonna stain. Oh, she's staining her marble countertops." It's like, that's not the fucking point. That's not the fucking point at all. They don't fucking care. Like, you know, it's not about that.
It's like, this guy has to be a millionaire. I'll be shocked. I gotta find his name. I know it's that same guy because they do these stupid videos, and I recognize that one woman, but I'm having a hard time coming up with it. Well, anyway,
and it's like those other videos that I can't remember the name from now. There's like a name for it. They have like a whole series of them where they like try to do these hacks to like show you how to like, oh, you can like turn this cup into a thing that you can like make into a mug, and it's like totally pointless shit, and it's just like, what the fuck.
Yeah. And then people try it. Like, my favorite is when people try it and then they angry post like, this ruined my microwave. It's like, well, don't you kind of you know, people like my mom, of course, are like tailor-made for this kind of shit. Well, really any bullshit. Unfortunately, that also goes for political tomfoolery, where, you know, all you gotta do is see it in the meme. And well, did you see that story the other day? It's like, wasn't a story.
And that's what pisses me off. Is
wasn't a journalist. It was a meme.
By thinking it's like
like a real thing. It's like, no. They're just fucking with you. They're fucking with the algorithms of social media.
That's not how you make bolognese.
They're just working an angle.
Actual comment.
Like,
that's not how you make bolognese. It's not even bolognese. It's like meatballs dumped.
It's literally spaghetti with meatballs.
In
it's
Brago.
Like the most fucking pedestrian bullshit version of spaghetti you could ever fucking make. And it's like, they're not even serious about it. It's like, come on.
God, I wish I could find that guy's fucking name. I'm dying to know how rich these fuckers are. Well, anyway, maybe by next episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to jump in with something really fast. Fast and fun one, guys. Fast and fun. That's what I tell the ladies, too. It's going to be a fast and fun one. Don't worry.
It's going to be fun for one.
Okay. Jon-Mark, I have a feeling, has seen this photo already. This rocked me when I was leaving work today. I saw this. Who is this person? Jon-Mark, don't say it out loud if you know.
I heard so many things ding. I'm confused where to look. Oh, Facebook.
Oh, Facebook Messenger.
I do know.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might. Yeah, because it had me shook. Who is this person?
Boy, I got to guess, but I'm not positive. I don't know.
Clancy Brown.
Who?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, for a second it looked like Jason Lee.
Oh, okay, sure.
But
okay, now imagine a beard.
That's the first thing I did was cover up the bottom part of his face.
It looks familiar. It looks like an old like 1990s.
Now imagine glasses.
Yeah. Now you got glasses and a beard.
And glasses.
Maybe you laugh like.
Oh, Seth? Is that Seth Rogen?
That's Seth Rogen.
No
way.
Wow.
Yeah, he's lost some weight and shaved his beard off for a role. Yeah, for a role he's doing in a show.
Handsome fella. Although I never thought of him as unhandsome before, but
just not who you are used to looking at, huh?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Huh. It's funny that even knowing, it's still hard for me to see his face in there.
I 100% agree.
I can break it down, but yeah. It's also not a face you're used to seeing him make. Even though when he does kind of do the scowl, it's always kind of like, silly, goofy, crazy guy scowl. Yeah, interesting.
I don't know this for sure, but I think he's in attire and probably hair for this role he's in. It doesn't look like standard. It looks like a period piece, doesn't it?
He's about to play a fucking child predator or something.
Oh my God, yeah, in current time.
Yeah,
but looks like it could take place in the 90s or something, like early 90s or something stupid like that. So yeah, it looks. I'm sure anyone that's listening to this has seen this photo by now because it was going everywhere. But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else want to weigh in before we get on to my grim and pleasant?
I got nothing.
Well, I think this is a good time for this particular topic, and it just kind of popped up this week. It's like that could be something. We've talked about dating horror stories in one capacity or another, and I know some of our older episodes we have shared some of our own dating horror stories, but I thought that I would feature some specifically tied to dating app experiences. And the reason I thought that was good timing is because we are starting to crawl back into the world. People are starting to maybe think about dating, maybe, if you're vaccinated, you vaccinated, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about that. Like if they're going to come over to someone's house or they're having a barbecue, they're announcing that everyone's vaccinated. You don't necessarily got to be vaccinated, but we want you to know. And I think that's what we're going to see, on dating apps. Probably going to be like, I love Radiohead and I'm vaccinated. Please be 6'1" and vaccinated.
Oh, it's going to be one of those things you check, and it's going to filter out people that,
Oh,
why
boy.
not?
I bet you're right. Yeah, it could be an actual algorithm.
100%. Have you been vaccinated? And then it's like, do you want to even see people that haven't been? I'm sure. Right? It's going to get there.
That's a good idea if they haven't done it. I mean, why not? It's and it is strangely political for a lot of people. Not everybody. Yeah. So it could just end up being one of those things you pick.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're aware of it, but there was on social media, somebody was saying that like our school district is, when it comes to like doing events and stuff like that, like sporting events and whatnot, they're seriously talking about segregating people, like flu shots over here.
Yeah, I think the segregation is weirder than just demanding that they be vaccinated to show up at all. Because that's what they used to do. I mean, the funny thing is, so much of this isn't new. You know, a lot of these anti-vax people that are freaking out about the idea of a mandate to go to school, you got to be vaccinated. We've been doing that forever. If you want to go to public school, you got to get your kids vaccinated for, you know, like polio. I had to get vaccinated for polio and God knows what else. You know, we got all sorts of vaccinations when we were young. You got to prove that they've been vaccinated before you can enroll them in public school, and that's been forever. So it's funny that it seems so foreign and scary to a lot of people, but it's really just it's an addition to the 12 things that we've been getting poked with since we've been alive. But anywho, and what I thought the pleasant would be, since we're getting warmer, sunny days here. It's a beautiful day here in our neighborhood, as Lyle can attest. A wind-free, beautiful, didn't quite get to 80 degrees, so it's just a lovely day to be outside. And that makes me want frozen treats. So I'm going to be giving you some factoids and history of some of our favorite frozen treats to go along with dating app horrors. And
this is great.
Yeah, so sit back, and I'm going to go through a fairly good-sized stack of these. Keep an eye on the clock, though. Now, first off, a lot of these came from New Zealand and Australia. I don't know if that was just... I pulled these from a few pages, so I don't know if it's that it just happened to be Australian blogs and researchers that I pulled up, or if you got something going on down under that we all need to know about. But starting off with New Zealand, a young woman named Warriana Wright swiped right on a man named Gable Tosti, and the two had some drinks, hopped into the sack for a little bit of the devil's biz. Things escalated quickly, and not in a good way. After they had sex, it was pleasant enough, but after they had sex, they just kind of like hanging out and started arguing, and it was never really clear on what. But eventually, the fight got physical, and Tosti ended up locking Warriana out of his apartment onto his balcony, which was on the 14th floor of his apartment building.
Jump it, pussy.
Well, after saying she was sorry through the door a few times and being ignored,
no, it was her.
The girl tried to climb down from the balcony, but apparently slipped and fell all the way down to her death.
Oh, fuck.
Now, interestingly, Keeley, if that's a word, Tosti had a habit of recording the audio of his sexual encounters. He was a bit of a playboy, and he sort of liked to announce himself as that kind of guy. Like, he would brag about how many women he would bring back to his apartment. I guess he would either record these quote-unquote conquests for his own later spank banking, or maybe to brag or share, who knows. But he recorded them fucking and just happened to leave the phone recording the entire time, all the way up to the woman falling to her death. And the audio was played in court where jurors felt that it actually confirmed Tosti's story. That you can hear the woman sort of like berating him, and at one point she's picking up, he has like these these big like white stones that are like decorative stones, and he had sort of an arrangement of them. She was like throwing these stones at his head and like getting violent and screaming at him, and so they acquitted him. They basically said that it was this woman's fault. She was initiating it, and he basically put her out on the lanai, locked the door while she could calm down, but instead she tried to climb down. 14 stories, man. And we're not talking the third floor here, which even the third floor would be crazy. Mm-hmm. So, he was acquitted. That's nuts. Now, 1 week later, he was back on Tinder, ladies. So... Yeah,
he was
odd one that.
Come check out my apartment. It has a great view.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of ironic that a lot of people thought that he threw her off the balcony. Still do. They don't believe it. And his last name is Tosti. It's like, but the jury thought that he didn't live up to his last name. Tosti didn't toss her off the fucking balcony. that audio, by the way, is online. I listened to a little bit, and it's fairly troubling. She sounds fucked up.
You hear her fall?
No. You hear everything leading up to her just going. You can hear her like sort of saying, I'm sorry when he's pushing her out. The whole thing's creepy and weird. Like, even he sounds creepy, and there's a lot of people that say this dude's fucked. And somebody recognized him. Like I said, a week later, he was back on Tinder, going on dates. He went on a date with somebody who recognized him from this story, which had made national headlines in New Zealand. And she called the cops. It's like, they're like, well, what do you want us to do? I mean, he's not doing anything. You can't just call the cops because you picked a date with someone who may or may not have killed a woman. He was acquitted, but he's kind of become a fairly infamous figure on the dating app world in New Zealand. So, anywho, grim. That is grim. Next up, 26-year-old Francia Ruth Ibarra met Emmanuel Valdez. I'm going to botcher this, but I'm going to try it. Bocangegra? Let's call him Valdez. That's one of his 4 names, because I can do that one. He was also 26. They met on Tinder, and the two had gone on several dates, but during their last meetup, which was on December 3rd of 2016, Ibarra went missing. So police went to the dude's house, just to keep this straight, a little bit easier, which was in Mexico City, to question him regarding her disappearance. And that's where they discovered human bones in a garbage sack, just propped up in his kitchen, just sitting there waiting to be taken out with the rest of the fucking trash.
Don't mind those.
It seems that the girl denied this creep's sexual advances, so he strangled her to death and put her body in a tub of hydrochloric acid, a la Breaking Bad, and dissolved her down to nothing but a bag of bones in just a few days. That shit actually happens. Like, people just do that. Now,
reminds me of Alice in Chains.
That's them bones. Now that's grim, but there's another case coming down the road that's maybe even a bit worse than this. Worse than this one, but in a similar way. But first, I think it's time for our first little pleasant break. And Dairy Queen. So the peanut butter parfait, I think, is my favorite dessert of all time. I know we've talked in the old show, especially, about blizzards. My mom, what was the story? Did my mom just show up in the middle of a podcast with a blizzard for me? Is that what happened? And you guys never let me live it down? Is that the origin?
It could have been something like that, or it could have just been an older story. It seemed like you had issues with your hands or something, and your dad took you to get them removed, and then took you to McDonald's, and then fried your fingers off.
Took my hands to get removed. That is an issue with my hands. Well, I had warts. He fried them off once. I think those were French fries. Chris, did you duck out? He would know. I think he'll know.
Your mom came in with a fucking blizzard one day, and you were like, "Thanks, mommy."
Like in the middle of the show.
You could hear. I don't know if maybe we weren't recording yet. I don't know. But I heard, and you were like,
didn't say thanks,
your
mommy.
Interaction. It was something to that. Thank you, mommy. Today.
Well, maybe I did actually. I wouldn't have said that.
You're a good boy, Ronald. Tap tap. You could hear it, and then
you're gonna go blind.
You were like, I gotta have a few minutes to eat my blizzard. You had like a few chops of it.
Blizzard break.
And then I was like, this is adorable. And you're like, my mom just brings me, she's my favorite dessert. She brings me blizzards occasionally. We couldn't let that go. It was so fucking endearing.
And shouldn't. No. Yeah, I would have had to have eaten it because you remember how hot it got back in the old studio. Well, that's where I was, and I'm sure it was a sweltering hot summer day.
I'm hot, mama. Hand me my blizzard.
Hot creeps got cool treats. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think peanut butter parfait is my favorite dessert of all time, if I'm being honest.
Glass shattering moment.
I understand. Now, the famous soft serve formula was first developed in 1938 by John Fremont, Grandpa McAuliffe, they called him, and his son Alex. Now, they convinced their pal Sherb Noble to offer the product in his ice cream store in Illinois. And on the first day, the very first day of sales, Noble dished out more than 1,600 servings of the peanut butter parfait in 2 hours.
That fucking town.
That just doesn't happen.
That fucking town shit their pants in unison that night.
And got diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes for sure. So Noble and the McAuliffes went on to open the very first Dairy Queen in 1940 in Joliet, Illinois. And the first, the Peanut Buster Parfait, which of course is consisting of peanuts, hot fudge, and vanilla soft serve. It's so simple, but all the best things are. And this was introduced by Forrest Frosty Chapman in his St. Peter, Minnesota franchise. He's like, this has to be one of the only examples I can think of where a franchise owner just kind of went rogue, invented his own thing, and then it was so popular and so good that the chain itself actually picked it up. Like, you don't really hear about that happening. Yeah. Usually when you're running a franchise, they inspect your shit. You can't be adding stuff to the menu. You know, the McDonald brother, or the McDonald's brothers, why is that hard to say? McDonald's brothers were kind of the first ones to really crack down on that. They found that some of the McDonald's restaurants popping up were adding like, buffalo wings and, barbecue if they were in Texas, and Philly cheesesteak sandwiches if they were on the East Coast. They're like, no. They were key on making every menu consistent. And so it's really strange that this guy got, I guess, paid handsomely for going rogue. But when you got a good product, you got a good product. And the recipe hasn't really changed all that much throughout the years, which can't be said of most products in general, but definitely DQ products. I always asked for extra peanuts. I wanted it good and peanutty. I know some people can't stand crunchy things with cold things, and I get that, but that hot, melty fudge just sort of melted it all a little bit, and then it hit the caramely. And I liked that they were Spanish peanuts, so they had some of that flaky skin on it, just strange texture. And you only got it in a Peanut Buster Parfait. Creamy, fudgy, and salty. But above all, pleasant. Wonder how many Peanut Buster Parfaits I just sold. And now, lest you think that all we have to worry about on dating apps is your date being troubled or dangerous, here's a friendly reminder that a lot of people come with extra bonuses, shall we say, like crazy exes who don't want their exes moving on. 40-year-old Joe V. Pillapil? Strange names, but again, going back to Australia, Sydney to be precise, had just separated from her abusive husband 6 months ago when she decided to give dating a try. So she met 53-year-old Keith Collins on Tinder, and they set up a date at a local restaurant. This was on March 30th, 2017. The couple ate at a place called Hornsby Westfield's Kangam Barbecue, which is so Australian sounding. Now, the woman's ex-husband, 46-year-old Alexander Villalana, had been stalking his former wife pretty much the whole time, even when they were together. Like, he was just one of those husbands. Followed her, never wanted her to go anywhere, super controlling, super fucking sleeping with the enemy type shit. Scary guy. So he always knew where she was and who she was with. Now, she was being extra careful, but this one night she got followed to that restaurant, and he just showed up and confronted Collins, the guy that was dating his ex-wife, what the hell he was doing with his wife, and a little bit of a skirmish broke out, and he brutally stabbed the man to death right there in the fucking restaurant while people were dining and watching in disbelief. Can you imagine seeing that happen? Like, wouldn't a part of you think there was some sort of like dinner theater or something? Maybe like, not.
Garçon, this is outstanding.
My compliments to the chef. I must tip the performers. Well, it's too late for one of them. So Villalana then set his sights on the woman, who was also stabbed several times, and no one was really jumping in. It's always terrifying to hear these stories. Like, everyone was just in shock. And I don't necessarily expect someone to throw themselves between a stabbing knife and, a victim. But, like, someone should have done something by the time the second person was getting stabbed. Anyway, he stabbed her significantly. She fell to the ground, and then he just calmly walked out of the restaurant. And he was later found guilty of that murder. Now, the woman lived, but from what the story wasn't super clear, but it sounded like she lived. But obviously the first guy died just going out on a date, man. He was in a restaurant. Like, if you're going to think that anything's going to happen, you wouldn't think it would be during apps, right? But that's that's how dangerous dating can be, friends. Have you guys, let me ask before we move on, have you guys ever had an encounter with somebody's ex that you're dating that wasn't thrilled that you were dating their ex, and you had like some sort of, I don't know, creepiness or skirmish?
What do you mean? Like, give me a sitch. Give me a scenario.
Well, like, you're dating somebody and they're jealous. Whoever they were dating before doesn't like that you're dating, so they just like come to start a fight with you, or they're like, what the fuck are you doing dating my woman? You know, those creeps that can't let it go. There are a lot of them.
Yeah, 100%. There was
Do you want to elaborate? You don't have to. I mean, this is on the fly stuff.
I remember when it was before Logan was born, when I was hosting all the Pac-Man and stuff, there was this really beautiful girl that started coming around, and she broke up with her boyfriend like right as she started coming around, and so she was sending me like really fucking flirty Snapchats, but it wasn't really clear. I wasn't really sure when they had broken up. Her and I hadn't hung out. We were just like Snapchatting back and forth.
Yeah.
And she showed up to that fucking Maya Pac-Man event with her, and he was like, I need to talk to you outside. And I'm like, oh god. Fuck. Cool. It was one of those things. But he was like, what are you guys talking about? And I was like, well, are you guys together? I mean, like, why are you giving me the fifth degree here? You know, like, I thought you broke up. He's like, well, we're, you know, and I'm like, anyways.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Why are we in a reality TV show all of a sudden?
Yeah, who's sirening?
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
It's all right. Jon-Mark, while you're mic'd, have you had any experience like that? Hearing from creepy exes?
I've been picking my brain, and I don't think I've ever had anything like that happen to me, honestly.
I've been on the opposite side of that, but I didn't know my girlfriend was cheating on me. I was at the bar, and I found out it was on a Halloween, and I went to my personal favorite bar, and the girl I was seeing for quite a while was with another dude. And
your bar too? What a bitch!
At my bar.
At your own.
And I remember getting pretty fucked up. I remember yelling certain things, you know, and they're viable things, you know. It was like
when we first different situation too.
Well, kind of. We were like when we first hooked up.
He's like, so I stabbed him.
Well, no, she says, you know, why cheat on somebody? You know, just break up with them, you know, instead of fucking with them, you know, and cheating. And I said, you know, I agree with that. You know, it's the thing that got us together in the first place. And I ended up yelling across the bar a few times. So it was like, you know, fuck you. You know, what are you talking about? Fucking cheating, you cheating bitch. Well, and I'm sitting, I end up sitting at the bar by myself. And this dipshit comes up and sits next to me. And he's like, hey, man, you okay? Are you all right? And I just looked at him. I said, are you fucking kidding me right now?
With the dipshit that was fucking the girlfriend? That's what I was.
Yeah, I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Hey, man, you need to talk about it. Listen, I have a feeling I know where you're coming from because I know the girl. And
right, dude,
I wouldn't want to give up that pussy either. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for you. Well, see, I think that's a little different. It's in the same wheelhouse, but that's not you being a psycho ex that won't let your girlfriend move on. That's you reacting. That's why, listen, now I'm not advocating this. I'm not excusing it, but there's a reason why in the United States anyway, there are laws that give you lesser charges if you were to kill somebody in that type of situation and they deem that it was a crime of passion. Again, I don't want that to sound like I'm supporting that, but that's a different thing than just a controlling fuck that won't let their girlfriend move on. When I used to do pinup shoots a lot, I had a guy come by here when I was doing a photo shoot of his ex-wife, and she was trying to, he was trying to watch and be part of the shoot. And I didn't know anything. I really didn't know this girl. It was like models. I would deal with models, and then I would deal with friends, and then they would bring other people. For a while, I was doing quite a few pinup shots. As you guys might remember, I was kind of making a foray into that. Now everyone's doing fucking pinup shots around here, and I just got out of it. But at the time, it was. I don't know if people really understood what was going on. It was just like they're, people that they cared about were getting half naked in front of this guy and was taking pictures, but. This guy just kind of came in and was like, oh, obviously they know each other, but then she started acting really nervous, and then the girl was like, no, I don't want you to hang out here. And so I was like, oh, yeah, we're almost done, so if you could just go. And he started freaking out, and he was like, calling her, a slut, and saying that we're fucking and accusing us, and I was like, okay, what is this? And he drove away, but I think she had to later call the cops and get a restraining order on the guy. Jesus. And I ran into a lot of jealousy, a lot of jealous current and ex-boyfriend bullshit when I was doing pinups. It kind of ruined it. Just this small dick little jealous guys. And I always would get nervous when the girls would come over and they would have the boyfriend with them. Whenever that happens, it's like, well, because it's rarely like the guy sitting in the back, like rooting her on. It's like, oh, what about try this, or having fun with it or being silly with it, like it could be. It's usually just them being all quiet in the corner with their arms folded, glaring, and it's just always a bad scene. And so I would always encourage people to not bring their boyfriends or husband when they were doing it, which, only makes them even crazier. So it's a big part of why I don't fucking do it anymore. It was tricky. It was tricky dealing with all of that. And to this day, people have spread rumors about me with certain people just because they thought I was fucking them while we were doing pinup shots. I wasn't. But that's how it goes. Anywho, I think that's a good time for a quick pleasantry. Orange Julius. The delicious frozen citrus classic, often described as a creamsicle you can drink. That's how I describe it anyway. Indeed. Now, a man named Julius Freed opened up an orange juice stand in Los Angeles in 1926. But it was Freed's real estate agent, Bill Hamlin, who made the first real orange Julius. Now, this is according to heatedmedium.com. Hamlin convinced Freed to carry his secret powdered vanilla-y formula that turned blended orange juice, sugar syrup, and crushed ice into that icy cold fluffy creamsicle-y drink. So Hamlin invested $6,800 and went into business with Freed, and they got a building contractor named William Larkin. Lead basically sold off. This got going immediately. It was very popular immediately because there's really nothing like it. So Lead sold it off, and the other guys went on to start the Orange Julius stands and cafes. Now, originally, as I think most people know, they contained raw egg white. This happened up until, I think the 80s, maybe early 90s, and then people started worrying more about salmonella and that sort of thing. But that was for extra fluff, but that's long since been replaced, at least in the States, with cornstarch, naturally. And as to the secret of the secret powders, it's never truly been revealed, of course, but, many discerning experts agree that it tastes suspiciously like a packet of instant vanilla pudding mix. So it's likely that the original Orange Julius was orange juice, ice, a little bit of syrup, and vanilla pudding mix. The Orange Julius. Just add rum, am I right? Some Myers' dark Jamaican rum and an Orange Julius is one of the best cocktails on planet Earth. It's so fucking tasty. Now, what's funny is we have to be selling at least some of these products, right? I mean, if we can sell 10 bed of nails. By the way, have we talked about that on the show? I get confused what we've talked about on and off the show, but we've had, at this point, almost a dozen people have reached out saying that they went to buy one of these Shakti mats. Now, since the Shakti mat is a brand, it's a bed of nails. There are other companies making pretty much the exact same product, slight variations. But everyone, because we were talking about the Shakti mat, everyone's gone to get the Shakti mat. And we were joking about reaching out to Shakti to say, listen, we're a bunch of drunken dipshits, and we sold 10 torture devices by me talking nicely about it and one of the other guys laying on it on the show and saying he hated every second of it, but found the benefits. Some of the benefits, and
that's just the ones we know about.
That's just exactly. If 10 of them reached out to us, there have to be closer to 20. So anyway, moving on. Now, make sure you are truly single. I guess this goes back to what we were just saying, or at least truly available on Tinder before you go on any of these dates, y'all. Again, sticking to Australia. In February of 2015, 26-year-old Alana Rose Jones from Brisbane had matched with a man on Tinder, and they met up, went bar hopping, later went back to Jones's house for some of that aforementioned devil's business. Now, Jones's date had a bit too much to drink when they were out and about, so he kind of quickly passed out, and Jones was like, oh, whatever. But then he got a text message on his phone, and Jones kind of took a peek at it, and it was from his girlfriend asking where he was. Jones saw the text and decided to give the woman a call. Yeah, you never want to be in this scenario. So it pays to be honest, folks. Now, she informed the girlfriend that she had just basically ridden the girl's boyfriend like a fucking mechanical bull. And that conversation went about, as you can imagine. Now, when the dude woke up, Jones grabbed a kitchen knife and began slashing his post-coital flesh and demand that he leave. And he managed to leave, bleeding profusely. And then, oddly enough, Jones called the police saying, look, I just stabbed a motherfucker. And so she was charged with, I think, assault, but she did avoid jail time she pled out, and, you know,
made the call.
I guess they said, I guess they said it was, you know, sort of like a passion thing. I don't know.
Yeah, because if you call, you turn yourself in, you call right afterwards. That shows that you had time to reason, say, "Oh my God, what I did was wrong." Right? That has to. But it's a different crime, right?
Yeah. Now, not a good dude, you know, right? Like he should have been.
Sure.
Should not have been out doing that, but maybe a bit of an overreaction. I mean, thoughts around the table, like I had to hide, as you all know, I had to hide in a closet.
Captain Closet.
Because the girl didn't tell me she was married. And I don't remember the exact details. The dude came home early, or he had to come grab something. I know I didn't have to hide in the closet long. I remember that. But it wouldn't have ever occurred to me you can come out now. My husband had to go back to work. To grab a knife and start slashing.
Thing you've ever experienced?
Say it again?
Was that the most pants shittingest thing you've ever experienced?
No, Jon-Mark, it wasn't, and you know
besides,
it wasn't.
Besides actually shitting your pants.
Wow, what a dick way to phrase it.
Snark on both sides there. Holy shit.
That's funny. You know, I did everything in my power to avoid that dating story. And here we go with Jon-Mark with the most poetically bitch phrased question I've ever been face to face with.
I didn't mean it.
Especially from him. You expect that from me.
I honestly didn't mean it that way.
Chris is right. I do expect that from him. But from
nice
Jon-Mark, I'm appalled.
It's nice to have this weight lifted off my shoulders, frankly. Jon-Mark, please continue.
Well, you know what
I honestly didn't mean it that way, but you know what I'm saying.
The whole thing. This was back when I was drinking so much at this time. This was like at the height of my dating was, quote unquote, dating was getting out of control. I was living carelessly, well, clearly. Although I don't remember doing much to deserve being in a closet. You know, she lied. I mean, it was just like
this was like very, very like post concussion, right? Like accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just a few years ago, and I think, you know, when I look back, I don't think it really snapped me into a different life, but I do sort of look at that as a mile marker. It's like, yeah, I kind of stopped living this like Bavarian sex comedy version of a handyman life that I was living for a while there. It was just like,
you're like, I can't be a rake anymore.
It was just loopy. It was getting loopy. And then that was a very nice sort of bookend to that whole era, which I've not had a desire to go back to. But yeah, it's fuzzy. It's also fuzzy, that whole era. But I do remember... Yeah, of course I was terrified. I was like, this is one of those situations where, you remember Brad Pitt, I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen not Burn Notice. Burn After Reading, right? Is that the one with Brad Pitt and George Clooney?
Yeah.
When he's in the closet with George Clooney.
Whammo!
And then, all of a sudden, goodbye Brad Pitt's brains. That scenario was in my head. I'm sure of it. Sure. What do you do? What do you do when you're in that situation? And your wife's acts suspicious. What if what he forgot to take to work with him was in the fucking closet?
Yeah, man.
You can't go live in scattershot like this, man. I can feel my blood pressure raising just thinking about it. It's like, what was I doing? But I didn't. I mean,
to quote Reservoir Dogs, you know what you had to do in that situation. You shit your pants and dive in.
I was just going to shit my pants and die. He died as he lived, hiding in a closet, shitting. That does sort of sum up a lot of my life. Spent a lot of time in a closet, man.
You just hear a voice, Ronnie, he's gone. You just like fly it,
He died as he got his first blowjob, shitting his pants in the closet.
Oh, part of me died. Part of me died forever. Anyway, good Lord, what an unfortunate sidetrack. So cheers to Orange Julius.
Wait, is this Grim or Pleasant? I can't remember now.
We went back to the Grim. Jones, she got off for... I was asking you guys what you thought, if it was an overreaction or if you think that the woman had a right to freak out like that. Because my point was, coming out of that closet, my first thought was not going to be, where's a knife? I'm killing this bitch. No one lies to me about not being married. I was mad, and I was like, yeah, bye. She still wanted to fool around. She thought that when I came out of the closet,
church still.
Just going to pull a blizzard out of the fridge, like I think Lyle might have been heading to. So, Ronnie, I got your blizzard. Like, wait. Was it?
Come here.
All right.
Definitely should have known my mom was married. Oh, boy. Sidetrack upon sidetracks. Anyway. So an overreaction, right? Like, why do you stab him? Just say, motherfucker, get out of my house. You're a piece of shit. And now you're caught. Like, that was the win. I'm confused why you would just... I guess people do crazy things when they're embarrassed and mad and hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this make you guys excited to go date?
Those hormones get going. And who fucking knows what's going to happen?
Jon-Mark, you're the only one that's not single at this point. And I got to be honest, I'm not, between COVID and just, I don't know, processing things still, where I'm at in life and just focusing on my own, like moving forward with a career. Dating is kind of like the last thing on my mind, but if I was thinking about it, doing this list today probably would have talked me out of it for at least a while. It's given me all kinds of pause.
Listening to it.
All kinds of pause.
Say that
we
again,
gotta realize there's a lot of fucking psycho out there right now.
That's all I'm thinking. Everyone's crazy, and they're crazier now.
Including ourselves.
Yep.
I'm a little bit pretty, what do you call that word? When you just by yourself. Isolated, but more of not lonely.
Are you an incel? Are you an incel?
Kind of more of an introvert because that's all I really do. It's like I go to dialysis. I'm taking care of myself, doing my own things, trying to keep everything going, keep everything afloat.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
And there's not. And in the situation I had, unfortunately, it's difficult. And I could think of myself of if I had a girlfriend, maybe it wouldn't be so hard. Maybe I could have her drive me to dialysis, instead of having to rely on myself every fucking day, or take me to the ER
But imagine if it went wrong. Oh, yeah, you have so many more ways that she could destroy you.
But there's a lot of fucking crazy out there. The other day I went to go pick up my medicine, and so I'm in Safeway parking lot, and I drive in, and I'm perfectly in my box, in between the white lines in the box, and I go in, I come back out, and then there's somebody parked in a van right next to me, right, and I go into my truck. And I turn the key and I open up the door and I throw my meds in there and I see this lady and she rolls down her window and she looks at me and she goes, "You could have parked a little bit closer." And I shut my door. I walked around the back of my truck. I looked at her. I looked at where I parked, looked down my line, the passenger side. I said, "I'm within my line. Maybe you should learn how to drive." And she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, I have my kids with me." And then she drove off. And I'm a person that literally was stuck in a machine for 4 fucking hours.
Mm-hmm. And you have to assume that people right now are just going to be a little bit out of their fucking minds.
That's what I'm saying. The crazy.
Yeah, it's
that crazy's out there.
On the Holly and Ron show, we were talking about
because
road
the last
rage.
year we've experienced, people are just like out of their fucking minds right now.
And you couldn't pay me to road rage with somebody right now. Not that I'm a road ragey type guy in general. But I'm especially passive when it comes to like, oh, you want to be a fuckwad, cut me off, brake check me? I'm just going to sit here and tap my steering wheel and look at the beautiful sunny day. I ain't fucking with nobody right now. I mean, that's a good rule of practice in general. But right now, God, people are unemployed. There's still a lot of people are isolated. I will say this. Concerning getting back into a dating thing. I remember when we were maybe 3 or 4 months into this thing, like really into the COVID shutdown. Like we knew at that point it was going to be a while. I remember saying that I predict when this is all over, I predict what I called the great fucking. I don't know if you remember this, but I predict that when everyone climbs back out, everyone's just going to fuck like just mad donkeys. And I'm not entirely sure that I'm wrong about that yet, but I have seen something that I didn't expect. A lot of the people that I know who have been traditionally non-traditional, if you will, about relationships, either doing nothing but poly or open or just dating or just casually, they're more about fucking and just getting on with their lives than relationships. I've seen so many of those people shack up and they're like, it's almost like the first person they dated outside of the shutdown, all of a sudden they're engaged to. I did not expect that. And I've seen quite a bit of it. So I'm not so sure now. I don't know what it's going to be like like I said, I'm out and about now a bit more. I don't feel like I'm seeing a lot of dating going on. I see families coming out and, people like me who are just tired of working on their laptop at home. So they want to work on their laptop somewhere else and have a drink while doing it and maybe run into a friend every now and again or have a meeting outside on the patio. But we shall see. I don't know. I'm still not giving up on the idea that there will be a great fucking, but I could be way off on this one. Things could be going completely the other direction. Like,
I mean, that's why they called it the Roaring '20s, right? Like, people went fucking crazy because that was right after the last pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that and prohibition, too.
Well, yeah.
Back in the 20s.
That little thing, too.
Alcohol was taken away. Yeah. So all of a sudden, when the alcohol, pandemic, same thing. You know what I mean? All the bars are shut down.
Yeah, post-World War II, was a lot of fucking going on there, too. A lot of partying, a lot of leisure.
Well, I've been seeing that there's the percentage of childbirths in this country has decreased dramatically. Has dropped dramatically over the last year or two or so, and so I don't know if that's going to continue to be a trend.
I think we'll see that change here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The way people seem to, and who knows? Maybe it's just my circle of friends. It's just
there might be a great fucking, but there might not be like a baby boom like there was, after the war.
If there's the great fucking, I don't predict a baby boom. But if it's the other, thing where people are like shacking up and being like, I'm ready to settle down. A lot of people probably took stock of their lives during COVID and realized that they would have liked to have gone through that with somebody, like I did. I was in a relationship through the bulk of COVID, and I would not have wanted that any other way. It would have been way different, so fucking different. And I think a lot of people that did go through it single maybe had some sort of awakening. It could be that simple. Who knows what ultimately this is going to lead to, but could be the great fucking, could be the baby boom part 2. Could be a hybrid. We shall see.
There was actually some information of a doctor that was trying to say that there was a sterility in the virus in inoculations from a virus, and this is before COVID hit. That she knew about it, the possibility of it was going around, and it was kind of a conspiracy thing. That's something to think about too. That would totally deflate your little, because it was basically making people sterile.
There's of course everything has been turned into a conspiracy, but there's some real evidence that some of these vaccines have, some iffy side effects concerning, your ability to be pregnant, or, causing you to lose a baby if you are pregnant. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's right there in the fucking side effects. They're not really pulling punches about that.
I saw the data that Jon-Mark is actually talking about, and I think they were referring to people actually intentional child conceiving, as opposed to, you know what I mean, like
as opposed to whoops, a baby.
Yeah, they're talking about less and less people are actually, the numbers I think reflect this too, but less and less people want to have children right now.
Well, a lot of people went to, like, humane societies were empty in a lot of towns, that you could not adopt a puppy in Wenatchee for several months in the earlier part of COVID. Now, I know that getting a puppy is not the same as having a baby, but it's somewhere, it's somewhere in the same universe, right? You realize that you want a more of a cozy thing. You're up for some sort of responsibility. A puppy, way more than a cat, is a lot of work. And so, I don't know. I think that it changed a lot of people's, it just stopped a lot of people in their tracks. And that alone can change everything concerning where they head. Much like having to hide in a closet while a shadowy figure goes to and fro collecting his forgotten work paraphernalia. Jesus, God, the things that the Lord has gotten me through. What is my purpose on this planet? Because I have a wacky fucking life, but I'm still here. So what's my purpose? I should probably start looking into that. One more quickie from the land down under. Now, you may think that going down under on 3 women at once sounds like a dream, but it was a nightmare sitch for one man in Melbourne. He made a hot date with 3 gals he met on Tinder, and as soon as they arrived at his house, the 3 women demanded his car keys, and then they proceeded to stab him, leaving him for dead while taking his car for a joyride. Now, the guy had stab wounds, stab wounds, the whiskey kicking in. I think I said Wixie.
I don't think you even said whiskey right.
Oh, the Wixie's kicking in. The guy
Thank God it's almost my turn, right?
Thank God. The guy had stab wounds. Can't say stab wounds. Baby. We were just talking about having babies.
Stab wounds?
Do not stab wounds, folks. To his head and chest. But
that's what he was hoping for.
He managed to get attention. He was hoping to do some womb stab. Instead, he got stab wounds. Oh boy! He managed to yell for help, and his neighbors called for help. They rushed him into a life-saving surgery, and he managed to survive. Now, the women, I don't think they were ever really found, from what the story said. They were never caught, and he never got his car back. But that's got to give you some orgy PTSD, right? In terms of, or a threesome, I guess. I think to qualify as an orgy, we're just talking about this. To qualify as an orgy, there have to be like multiples of each gender there, right? Is that the difference? Like a dude and 4 girls is a fivesome.
You think?
But a dude, a gal, and a trans, now that's an orgy, right? Am I right? Wow. Who's been in an orgy? I've never been in an orgy. I've had multiples, but I've never like been in a sexual situation where there's another dude. To me, that's what it would take that to call it an orgy.
I was only invited to the orgy. I didn't go.
Wow. Have you guys all been invited to orgies?
Nope.
I can't say I have. No.
Really? Lyle and I are on the right mailing list. Anyway,
I never got that memo. I never got it.
Okay, me and Jon-Mark are gonna have our own orgy. Okay,
then you guys will be sorry.
Just us.
Just you. It's like, I don't think anyone else got our memo. What did we forget? Well, how about for a quick, something more pleasant than a threesome turned womb stabbing? Popsicles. I love saying popsicles. It's one of my favorite words. I think it's got
popsicle.
Yeah, popsicle. It's very musical. So the first popsicle was invented, or almost more discovered, by an 11-year-old kid named Frank Epperson. It was a particularly cold night in the Upper Bay Area near San Francisco in 1905. And he was just mixing up some soda pop powder. You know, back in the day, Instant Pop was all the rage. I loved it. I remember getting some when I was a kid in one of these like old-timey candy shops, and they were selling instant root beer. It didn't taste anything like root beer, but it was, I don't know, it was kind of like a root beer-ish Kool-Aid. I fucking loved it. Everyone else thought it was disgusting. But he forgot to bring them inside, and it was that cold that they froze. And the next day, he was like,
I'm a goddamn genius.
He enjoyed, like he called it a frozen miracle. And he enjoyed licking them all the way down to the wooden stick so much that he decided to make up a few proper, freezer batches. And he started selling these popsicles. Now, what he called them Epsicles. He took his little, he thought, I'm going to get famous from this. And over the years, he used the money to invest into, flavor research and development, like making it a legitimate thing. And by 1925, he actually had a patent for the treat that, again, he was calling the Epsicle. Unfortunately, kids did not take to the name Epsicle. They called it Popsicles because it was made from frozen pop. And once the name change had happened, the company immediately blew up. And Epperson sold the rights that very year to Popsicle. I think that eventually it went to Good Humor. That was years and years later. But how about them shits? An 11-year-old boy.
That's great.
He not only,
great story.
I thought it was interesting that he invented it and discovered it, but it wasn't like some uncle stepped in and said, what we got here is $1 million idea. He nurtured it from discovery to selling it himself. Like he did it all himself and stuck with it for, decades. Yeah. Pretty cool story. Okay, now this story, wrapping up here, I got a couple left. Just posted on Listverse today, so I'm just going to read it right off the site. I teased a little bit about it earlier. A London Metropolitan Police officer, Gordon Semple, met 51-year-old Stefano Brizzi on the dating app Grindr. They decided to meet up at Brizzi's apartment, where Brizzi strangled Semple to death. And once again, inspired by the show Breaking Bad, Brizzi tried to dismember Semple's body in an acid-filled bath. Although Brizzi doesn't remember doing this because he was high on crystal meth.
Been there.
Mm-hmm. Boy, don't you hate it when you come down and you've dissolved your date?
Why did I get here again?
Oh boy, do I have Gary on my face? That's not bad, right? So yeah, it's fucking horrible. Like, this is a horrible story. But they found Semple's body. It gets worse because the police found Semple's body in the oven, in a tea strainer, and on skewers and chopsticks. And there were they were bite marks on the ribs. Like he'd pulled them out. Britzy had pulled out his ribs and snacked on them and put them back in. It's still a little bit. It's too chewy. Put it back in the oven.
Not too much. Save the rest for later.
Don't be a pig. Terrible, right? Like,
yeah. Wow.
He ate his Tinder date, dude.
Yeah.
And not in that mutually beneficial way.
His Tinder date?
Oh, dear. We're going to hell. His bite marks were on his ribs.
Ugh. Yeah.
I mean, that is grim. Well, it gets funner. A woman named Mary Kay Beckham had just become a widow in 2010 when she decided to try dating again and join Match.com, where she matched with a man named Wade Ridley. Now, again, the first few dates were pleasant enough, but after about a week, Ridley started acting kind of possessive and maybe a bit creepy, so Beckman broke it off. And Ridley handled it pretty well. He went straight home and wrote out a kill list. And at the top was, of course, Mary Kay.
As one does.
Beckman. Now, Beckman was cautious for a while. You know, she knew that this guy was weird, and he kept trying to call, and he wasn't indicating that this was going to be an easy departure. And so she was keeping an eye out for him, but one night he caught her by surprise and stabbed her so many times with the butcher knife that the fucking blade broke. Yeah. And while she was bleeding out on the ground, he stomped her head several times for good measure. Now, amazingly, Beckman survived. It took months to recover, and I'm sure she has lasting issues, but at least she could testify against Ridley, who admitted to the attack and the kill list. And he also admitted to killing one of his other Tinder dates that rejected him. So, I know, it's horrifying, right? I think I'm going to end on that one concerning grim, but let's go out with a pleasant. Ben & Jerry's, America's beloved ice cream company, founded by childhood buddies Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield in the renovated gas station in Burlington, Vermont, after they had taken a correspondence course on how to make ice cream.
You know what else was invented in a gas station garage bathroom? Was a B&J too.
The other B&J. Mm-hmm. Classic. So the two owned the company until 2000 when they sold it to Unilever, who basically owns half the world. But I wanted you guys to guess. I thought this was an interesting little trivia tidbit. Can you guys guess what the most popular Ben & Jerry's flavor is of all time and current?
Can you give me a multiple choice? Like I give you at least? Lord.
Yeah, okay.
I think I can get this. I really do. If you need a moment to compose three fake ones.
Let's go with peanut butter cup, chubby hubby, snickerdoodles, and cookie dough.
Ooh, cookie dough.
What was the second one?
I don't remember it. That's all I
get you. Was Chubby Hubby one of them?
Chubby Hubby was one of them, yeah.
That's the one I'm going to go with.
Lyle?
I'm going to go with cookie dough, man. It seems pretty damn good. Everybody likes it.
It's very popular, yeah. Jon-Mark?
Wait, what are we doing? What's happening?
Can you guess what the most popular Ben & Jerry's flavor of all time is?
Oh, so we got cookie dough. What else?
Peanut butter cup, chubby hubby, and what was the other one I made up? so choose from those three.
Man, I want to say.
I think I said Snickerdoodle.
I want to say peanut butter cup, but
this is for no point.
Yeah, it seems like a Reese's thing.
Yeah, right. Because that's like the number one candy in America. But
that's why Jon-Mark wins. He thinks about it, unlike my dumbass.
I'm gonna say Chubby Hubby because that one seems to be like that's like the cornerstone of their fucking whole empire is the Chubby Hubby. I feel like so. I don't know. It's probably fucking cookie dough, but I'm gonna go with Chubby Hubby.
It was cookie dough, but
I would say firm with using both your hands and cup the balls.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
what are you talking about?
Ben and Jerry's, the BJ.
He's still on the BJ thing. That's his favorite,
I think the first
flavor.
the first time I ever ate Ben and Jerry's was cookie dough, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Well, that's interesting. I don't know what the first one would have been. It probably was peanut butter cup.
This was back in the early '90s, and I was like, and it was like, "Oh, what is this? What is this?"
Miss Jackson good too.
What is love?
Well, cookie dough was the winner.
Then we went to see Reservoir Dogs in the theater. And we'd all been smoking out, and there was these two kids behind us when we went through the line to give them our tickets and stuff. And like there was a security guy who was like, he stopped the kids behind us. The two kids was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "Don't come in here smelling like marijuana."
Marijuana.
I was like, "Oh, those poor kids probably fucking got hassled because of us." Anyways,
is this some sort of hassle, man? So yeah, cookie dough was the winner by 60% of the vote. 60%. Last place was chocolate chip brownie with 8%. I think for Pride Month or something, they change it to Hubby Hubby, which is pretty adorable. They tend to wear their politics on their sleeve, or at least they did before the corporate takeover. I'm not sure how much they do now. Chubby Hubby, incidentally, is my favorite Ben and Jerry's.
I get emails from Ben and Jerry's, like political emails, like saying like, "Oh, you gotta."
I think they're still involved with the company. Yeah. I think that they sold it. You know, they don't make any big decisions, but they're still part of the company. I mean, who would want Ben and Jerry's without at least some Ben and Jerry's? Didn't one of them have a stroke or something?
I don't know, but I get emails like political action emails saying, "Hey, Ben and Jerry's here. We gotta make sure that you exactly stuff like that."
Yeah. Oh, it's very clear where they stand. But yeah, fucking Chubby Hubby, man, it doesn't get much better. Vanilla malt ice cream. I'm looking up the description to make sure
have you tried
peanutty fudge covered. Don't interrupt me, Jon-Mark.
Tiramisu?
Don't interrupt me. I'm doing my sexy ASMR voice. Let me get through this.
Okay, gotcha.
Chubby Hubby vanilla malt ice cream with peanutty fudge covered pretzels and fudge and peanut buttery swirls. I mean, come on. Sorry. Good. Now, what did you say when you were interrupting?
I was asking if you had the tiramisu.
Did you have the shit in the closet special there, Ron? Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Did you ever shit in a girl's mouth?
Tiramisu.
By the way, I love that the story has involved to me shitting in somebody's mouth. I know people who have done that. That wasn't me.
Did you guys know that Ben and Jerry's has ice cream flavors that are particular to certain stores? Like you can only get it at either Target or 7-Eleven or whatever.
That's kind of fun. Well, that makes sense. I feel like I could only find Chubby Hubby at Safeway.
Delicious flavors that you can only get at a Target or a 7-Eleven. Or oh shit, I'm gonna get this one.
Interesting. Well, let me end on this note because I think it's a good way to go out. They say that due to fears over online safety, a controversial law has been proposed in the U.S. that would force dating websites to make all of their users do police and background checks. It's not a law yet, but people are trying. Now, in some states, not Washington, but California, Florida, New York, have passed state bills that would make dating sites post prominent messages on their website to inform users that there are no background checks. I think that's how they're trying to start, which is kind of an odd one. But I think it's a good warning. It's a good reminder that, oh yeah, you're dealing with people and
that you don't know.
More often than not, they're in your town, and sometimes they don't know you exist until they do, and once they do, oh brother. So after all those stories, I don't like the idea of more legislation, this kind of thing, but after all those stories, it's something to think about anyway. Be safe, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think it's a bad idea to have people say, hey, just so you know, just keep this in mind that the people you meet on here, may not be who they say they are.
Yeah, for sure. At the very least. And now then, it is time for me to light up my cigar. I could probably use a quick little break. Y'all want to do a quick little break, and then we'll end with some weird chiv?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Gonna pull your Ben Horn carrot out?
Excuse me?
I've been watching Twin Peaks, and so like Ben Horn switched from the cigars to the carrots in his pocket,
right.
his coat pocket.
That's funny.
It's
he
like
just
always
pulls
got
him one out.
pulls a carrot out. He's like, "Here, have a carrot." It's like, what the
It
fuck,
does have a
dude?
certain look of class.
It does, right?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
You'll feel much better.
You know, I've been really thinking about getting a one wheel.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
About it.
The little, the ones where you just kind of like lean
Yeah,
forward, like
it's just one. It's one giant wheel.
Luna
It's
wheels.
like 10-inch round wheel. You know, and it's,
I see dudes with
look
those
safe.
downtown in Seattle all the time when I go to work. It's like I only work one day a week, but like literally every time I go to work, like I go to work these days on Fridays, and I almost inevitably see at least one of those dudes like every time I go to work downtown Seattle. Some tech bro with a one wheel, just
sure.
kind of usually make more than one, like maybe two or three.
Oh, if I lived in the city, I'd totally do it. Like just the stay that was at Virginia Mason, because I could have left from my apartment all the way downtown down to the Pike Street, fucked around, and went uphill. You know, and rode the thing uphill. The thing is, it's got like 6 gyros in it, right? So it's like a balancing board. So when you initially first put your weight and stand on it, when it turns on, all it does is self-rights itself. So, you know, it counters your
The
weight.
DARPA wheel. Have you,
That's pretty crazy.
Lyle, have you seen that little, maybe we talked about this already, but that little smart car looking thing that buzzes around town, but it's an electronic bike?
I don't think I've seen.
From the side, it looks exactly like a little smart car, but when you're looking at it faced on, yeah, it is your turn, Chris. It's like super skinny. It's funny, but they're actually designated as bikes, so you can ride them in the on the shoulder. You can ride them on the loop trail. They're electric, and I see that dude cruising up Grant Road. They live above me somewhere. He cruises up Grant doing like 30 miles an hour. It's like, I looked it up. They're only they're $5,000, which sounds like a lot, but this thing is heated. They have air conditioning. They're a car. You're inside an enclosure. You don't have to get it licensed. You don't have to have a driver's license to drive it. You don't have to insure it. I was like, if I lived in a city and, you know, I would scrape together $5,000 to buy this thing, because that's like you charge it every night, and then you just cruise on the side of the road. Wherever you can ride a bike, you can ride these things. And I would just cruise to and fro work in that thing, and you wouldn't have to pay tax or, you know, all those fees. Like, I think it's fucking brilliant. I think it's the wave of the future.
If you think about just your yearly tabs, I mean, that gets really expensive. For my truck, it was a lot.
To not have to insure it, it's amazing. Like, if you want to do, back in the late 90s, I was a bit of a speeder, and I racked up 2 speeding tickets kind of back to back, and that fucked my insurances for 7 years. It was 7 years before my insurance rate went back down to like a normal driver, which is bullshit. And I wasn't like doing 50 in a fucking 25, you know, school zone or anything like that. But for anyone that's got like insurance trubs, or they want to stick it to the man, look, I wish I could think of the car. It's a specific brand that this one is, but just look up electronic car bike. It looks like a little space pod going by, and it makes me happy every time I see it. That's my future. Anyway, so who's playing for whom?
Okay. Ronster, you're playing for Kurt. This is my turn, isn't it? Ronster, you're playing for Katie. Surgery F.
Oh, great. Old Surgery Jeff.
Yeah, we finally were able to get the correct
Surgery
pronunciation.
Surgery Jeff.
Pronunciation of that name.
How's your
I'm
surgery,
glad we
Jeff?
finally got that.
Yeah,
And
she'll be glad.
It's perfect. Jon-Mark, you're playing for Ron Kompenstein. Or I keep throwing an N in there. It's Kompstein, I believe.
Kompstein. Interesting.
Kompenstein.
All right.
Yeah. Lyle, you're playing for our good old pal
new challenger
Denny
up
Kish. Yeah.
Denny.
Denny Kish. Denny. Our buddy Denny.
Well, that's a name that's been with us for a long time.
Yeah, he's been a long time listener for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna start things off with I'm sorry, I'm having some cat allergies.
Me too. I'm
My
having
cat-
all the allergies.
My cat sat in my lap for a bit, and I rubbed my eyes while we were chatting, and now I'm just dying.
Mm-hmm.
Let me sip my Truly. I'll get through it.
Oh, we'll get through this together, truly.
Okay. We're going to start things off with a listener-submitted question. You guys know what that means. It's going to be worth 2 points right off the bat here.
Can we just start calling this the TJ question? Does anyone else do it?
I get Ben.
Yeah, Ben does.
People here in the
yeah, you're right.
But this was from TJ, my man girl.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. As always, if you find a story you'd like to see me turn into this, just email me at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. Okay, in what could only be described as a slow news day in Poland, the HuffPost picked up a story about a woman who woke up one morning and got a bit of a scare when she looked out her kitchen window and saw a strange creature clinging to her lilac tree. Now, she initially calls for help thinking the creature might be an iguana or something like that, but it wasn't iguana. When help arrived, if you will, it wasn't an iguana at all. It turns out it was this. Now, I do have a photo of it.
Okay. Do we see that as the answer or the clue?
I'm going to send it to you now. Because I don't think it's I think it's a tough guess still.
Okay.
I like my answers quite a bit on this one. Sorry, I wasn't.
I still got Seth up there.
Yep. Okay, here comes the photo of what she saw.
Although, wasn't he beardless in Freaks and Geeks?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he was. I've seen him beardless before, but he just looks he looks different.
It's been a while.
All right.
Okay.
So what was it?
Oh, yeah, this is tough.
Was it A? It wasn't an iguana at all. Was it A croissant?
I can see that immediately.
Was it B, a praying mantis hive?
Yeah, it looked nesty at first. Like I've seen spiders make nests that kind of look like that. Or not
was
spiders,
it C,
but some sort of worm.
Was it C, frozen poop from an airplane dump?
Gotta think about that all the time. You know, I got that big skylight and planes go over it all the time at night. I'm thinking, what if?
Here comes that's how you're going to die. Just frozen.
That would be how I die. That would be God's purpose for me. Just make people laugh, Ron. Just. I know this sucks for you, but they're going to laugh forever over this.
A news quiz story.
Yep,
okay.
Some other podcast.
Or was it D, a rubber vaginal sex toy that had been fucked inside out and discarded?
Well, Lyle, what's your advice there? Looked like something the ring slipped out of. By the way, I got my fleshlight finally. We'll have to talk about that on the next episode.
That's a whole episode I want to. We've ever set aside some time. All right, Ronster, you're going first. We're going traditional. Actually, sorry, Ron, Jon-Mark, and Lau. Yeah.
I got to go croissant. It's probably not. But it looks like a fucking croissant. It looks a little more rounded on the ends than I'd like to see, and I'm not getting the perfect triangular fold, but it could be a croissant.
Are you talking yourself out of this? Are you talking yourself out of a croissant?
I think no, I'm going to stick with croissant.
Okay.
It's a funny guess.
So what were all the options? We got the croissant,
a praying mantis hive, frozen poop from an airplane dump, or a rubber vaginal sex toy that'd been fucked inside out and discarded.
You know, it's got to be something special to keep me from going with the brown herring. And you even kind of threw in a pink herring. A croissant. I want it to be a croissant. I can't tell how big that tree is, though, so that's kind of fucking me up, too. Like, if there's like a full-size tree branch, that's a big-ass croissant.
Okay, Jon-Mark, what are you going with, buddy?
I want to say praying mantis hive, but I don't know if they even have hive. I guess they have. I'm gonna go with the fucking croissant too, because I'd eat that.
In the end, you just gotta go. It fucking looks like a croissant. This is amazing if Chris made that answer up.
Yeah, but how would it? Never mind.
The funny thing is, if I had looked at it, I was about to guess like a cat. Like I saw it as some sort of creature, but as soon as you said croissant, that's all I see. So I don't think I would have guessed that.
I can see a hive of some sort, but I really see a croissant, and I kind of want to eat one. So
I miss croissants. There's no buttery, flaky bread like a croissant. What do you see?
This is going to get uncomfortable really quick.
How uncomfortable?
Yeah. What was that word?
Pretty uncomfortable. Goddamn uncomfortable real quick, boys.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, keep your eyes open, look both ways before you cross the street, and make sure that that's not airplane poop.
Oh boy, I kind of hope I won't mind being wrong if it's airplane poop. But I think they got strict laws.
Solid sea.
Here's the thing, though. We know that they're supposed to flush over the sea, but shit malfunctions. I was just listening on the scanner the other day. A plane, it was really scary, actually. They sent a whole bunch of fire engines out because a plane landing gear wasn't coming down. It wasn't on a big passenger plane, but it was, there's 6 people on board. It was like, shit malfunctions. Who's to say that the toilet door couldn't malfunction over someone's house? It has to happen.
Yeah.
Sideways tree, poop from heaven. Yeah. Play your lottery ticket. All right.
Frozen.
When you go out from a cocaine overdose or whatever, Ron, we'll just say it was fucking frozen poop from space.
Okay.
Okay, let's open all the tubes.
That was hard. Heart was healthy like a bowl. It was frozen poop. What are you going to do?
Oh, I walk by and put a little frozen peanut right on your...
Yeah, could you send down some jam?
Probably better.
Raspberry. Question 2.
Okay.
All right, question 2. Kanye West has a new logo he's trying to launch for his Yeezy brand of clothing. Unfortunately, a large corporation is legally trying to block Kanye from releasing this logo as they believe it's a bit too close to their own logo. What company are we talking about? Is it A, Walmart?
So he too wants a butthole for a logo, huh? You can't convince me that Walmart's logo is not. It's the Butthole Surfers logo. It's the exact logo.
Oh my god, that's funny. I've never seen the Butthole Surfers logo, but
look it up.
I got to look it up.
It's a hand-drawn version of Walmart's logo, and I think it came before. I don't know how far. I guess Walmart goes way back. But...
Is it B, Adidas?
Okay.
C, Spotify.
I finally downloaded Spotify, guys.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Yeah. Or is it D, Playboy?
Well, that seems like the most likely one that he would want to emulate. By the way, is he even making music anymore? Why are we still talking about Kanye fucking West?
I don't know.
Does he make music? He must make music.
He makes a shitload of money still every year on his clothing line and all this.
Oh, he'll be rich for
easy.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's probably making fucking kitchen videos.
I go ahead.
Horrible
and don't
food
care.
crimes.
Yeah, he's probably making
Kanye
videos of. Is that what you just said? He's probably pouring pasta on a counter as we speak, saying, "That's fucking brilliant."
He's the mastermind behind that shit.
He's like, I'm inviting all of my hip hop friends to have the hippest party in town. Counter spaghetti. I'm gonna go with Playboy.
Okay, D. Let's go with D. Jon-Mark.
That's appropriate for Playboy.
So we had Walmart,
Adidas, Spotify, and Playboy.
I'm gonna go with Adidas. That sounds right
All
to me.
day I dream about sex.
Corn.
All day I dream about. I like the edited version where instead of fucking, he's like humping. Isn't that more troubling?
Did you say corn?
Humping?
Did you say corn, Lyle, or porn?
I said corn.
He said corn.
Corn. Did you guys, speaking of corn, did you see my text that I sent earlier about the Danzig thing? The corn?
I didn't know what was going on.
I didn't get it.
Twist of corn?
I mean, I could appreciate Twist of Corn, but I didn't get the lead up.
Twist of cane?
Twist of Corn. No, I got that.
Oh, yeah. Well, just so, okay, so just a quick aside. John Santos is an artist who's done a lot of artwork for a lot of prominent metal bands. On both T-shirts, album covers, all that kind of stuff. And so he was on tour once and was in Reno, Nevada, and he was at a buffet where Danzig was, because he was on tour, probably with some band that was playing with Danzig. And Danzig was like, "Oh, you should try the corn. It's really delicious." And he was like, "I tried the corn, and it was not delicious."
Danzig told him to try the corn.
Danzig told him to try the corn, and he was like, he was probably trying to disguise the fact that he was like trying to abscond with a bunch of desserts at the end of the table. But somebody commented twist of corn, and I was like, oh shit, because of twist of cane is Danzig. Anyways, never mind. Let's move on. Twist of corn, a Dane, and corn syrup.
Oh, those first two Danzig albums are, if they're not in your collection, you don't love rock and roll.
Fucking
get
classic.
Those albums if you haven't heard them. They're just fucking good. Okay.
Anyways,
I'm still stuck on Danzig saying you should try the corn.
Try the corn. It's delicious.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know why I think about Clan Danzig, but I think about that picture that I'm sure everybody's seen because it was like passed through MySpace.
Yeah.
Of him coming out of like a grocery store, and he's like, and it's all in black, and he's threading around with like 2 or 3 grocery bags full of cat litter.
I just remember him carrying nothing but a tiny cat or some shit.
It was
that's
just
awesome. Yeah, made me love him more. A friend of mine was just down there by his house, his old house. With the ones with the infamous bricks in front. You guys familiar with the infamous Danzig bricks? Like, everyone was like, what are you doing with those bricks? There's this brick pile sitting in front of his house, which is a cool sort of old Gothic-y house, but looks like it's about to fall over now.
Sort of like an Addams Family house, yeah.
Well, anyway. Now he lives in Lucille Ball's old house. Christopher, still with us?
Still here. Still
Twist
here.
Twist of corn away. Oh. Try the corn.
It's delicious.
What is? Wouldn't you listen? I'm sorry to keep going off track. We did miss 2 weeks. We deserve, the fans deserve a extra long bonus show. Talking about corn. Wouldn't you assume if Glenn Danzig, turned to you and said you should try the corn, that he was making some sort of like did Glenn just invite me to like some satanic orgy tonight? Like, was that a code? Wouldn't you think that he was? Like, that was referencing something as opposed to try the corn of the buffet?
Which
is literally just a can of corn?
That's the thing, is that later in a couple comments down in the thread, he was like, I think he might have been trying to distract me from the fact that he was trying to abscond with multiple desserts from the end of the table.
He said, look, a squirrel. Gotta go.
Exactly.
And he's tiny. So he just be this little head, top of a head running by. Did Glenn Danzig just take all the fucking desserts?
Corn.
Try the corn. Yeah, that's going to become its own fucking spin-off.
And he's a little guy, right?
He's 5'8". He's 5'8". Yeah.
Oh God.
Actually, God, he might be shorter than that.
He is.
I think he might be. Yeah.
Oh. All right, go ahead, Chris. I'm going to look up how tall.
I remember somebody, one of our friends met Metallica for the first time back in the late 90s. And they were really surprised how short all they were. Because, you look at them and you think...
James is 6 feet. Everyone else, I think, is... Holy shit, he's 5'3".
Oh, 5'3".
Yeah. Yeah, I knew he must be shorter than 5'8". Good Lord, Henry Rollins is 5'9". Tommy Lee, 6'2".
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's pulling up all these. Jello Biafra, 5'9". I'm taller than Jello. Okay, where are we at, Chris?
I'm waiting for Lyle's answer here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I'm gonna go with Kanye. I don't know anything about him. I know that isn't he on the outs with his own family now?
I don't know anything about his family.
So he's but he seems
weird guy. He's on the outs with fucking everybody. It seems like. And a Trump supporter?
He's getting him and Kim are getting a divorce, right?
Oh, I've been wondering about that. Was that Trump supporting thing real? Is he truly a Trump supporter, or is he just being a weirdo?
Yeah.
Fucking with people?
I don't know.
I feel like sometimes...
I think it was, dude.
Sometimes I feel like he's just super autistic and just kind of borderline nuts, and sometimes I think he's just brilliantly fucking with everybody.
He's bipolar, right?
He has borderline personality disorder.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the thing.
So where are you going, Lyle?
Well, as an icon and something that he's looking for, I would go probably the same answer as you, is the Playboy Bunny thing. And it's not like it's available, but I could see him going for it just because it's, kind of hinders his whole lifestyle. You know,
it's kind of funny. You don't see a lot of parodies of that logo.
Well, you could be a musician that way. You could be, it could be an art, like you're on your shirt, you know, like the old alligator. You could have a little Playboy button buddy, whatever. I don't know what the fuck.
Playboy button buddy bunny. Okay.
All right, question 3. Quarantine has been tough on everyone, even our famous friends. This famous actor took to social media to share a video of himself in a skimpy outfit while he proclaimed he was in the worst shape of his life. Who are we talking about here? And I do have a screen, of course, to share at the end. Was it A, Will Smith?
That is kind of a shitty move, isn't it? Like, oh, I'm so fat. And you're just like...
and I guess it could be presented in a way. I didn't... Yeah. Was it... Well, I mean, look, let's get through the rest of the list. You tell me. Was it B, Jack Black?
Okay.
Was it C, Vin Diesel?
I'd like to see his idea of
I
how to am
fat.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it D?
Look at this one
Steven
peck. It
Seagal?
can barely dance. The lazy fuck.
Yeah.
So Stevie Seagal. I feel like he was looking a little... I think he was growing some appetites last time I saw him. And good for him.
Mm-hmm.
What does he have to prove?
Well, sure.
He's already shown us he's nuts.
7 styles of fighting combos.
Yeah. Okay. Seagal. I'm leaning towards Seagal, but I kind of want it to be Vin Diesel. I think it might be Vin. I mean, Jack Black has never been anything other than the lovable tubby bitch that he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for him to say, yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna go with Vin Diesel.
Jon-Mark?
I wonder what
I
he's
can
like.
see Jack Black saying, "I'm in the worst shape of my life," but
that's a joke.
being a joke because he's in the same shape as he's always been in.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Will Smith.
But it sounds like this irritated people. Like, oh my God, you look great. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm getting the feeling that it's that vibe. What is that? Someone petting a gremlin after midnight? You guys hearing that?
Yeah, don't feed him after midnight and don't get him wet.
What is that? Is that like a pipe?
I think it's a bird.
Is it a bong?
It's a bird.
Are you outside, Jon-Mark?
Yeah, I'm outside. I think it's a bird.
All right.
Is Jen not a podcast inside anymore?
Glad you guys hear it.
She's watching TV.
You think that poop podcast outside, Jon-Mark?
I want to say
it's kind of pleasant.
Vin Diesel would probably not him because he was recently doing the Fast and Furious movie. So I'm sure he's probably like in-depthly working with that, and he's probably in the best shape of his life.
Are they still cranking those out after Paul, Paul Walker's dead?
There's another one going. Oh, he's dead, yeah. But
yeah, there's a new one coming out.
It goes on.
Ninth one, I think.
I guess it does.
Will Smith, I don't see him ever really looking bad. You know, he was a skinny guy growing up. You know, back in Bel Air. But
tall
you know,
too. I think he's a tall guy.
Oh,
you can get away with more when you're tall.
He's our age, you know. He's maybe a couple of years older than us.
So you're going with Jack
Smith?
Black?
I think Will Smith is like 50, right?
Yeah, he's.
Well, like I said, we're
No.
Jon-Mark.
No.
Yeah, he might be Jon-Mark.
Sorry,
He might be Jon-Mark.
Sorry, buddy.
No, what is he, like a fucking ancient turtle?
Will Smith, anyway.
Let's look it up.
If I were to say anybody out of that, I would say probably Steven Seagal. You know, even though he is, he's a real martial artist. You know, that shit takes toll on you, and you know, you get sick.
He's got to be 60 something at this point,
and he's up there.
Will Smith is 52. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Steven Seagal again. You know, like how long are you supposed to look? Fucking amazing.
Well, he does martial arts. I mean,
holy shit, he's almost 70. He's 69 years old.
69.
And he's 6'4". I didn't know he was that tall. Holy shit.
He was at one point, I don't know if he still is, but he was at one point a legitimate cop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a show.
Sheriff?
He was actually a police officer.
And he looked pretty bad.
I pulled this guy over. I wanted to be a good guy, but he was giving me side eye.
Above the law. I felt under siege from my police cruiser.
He didn't realize he was treading on deadly ground.
But now, I'm gonna
pull it out.
I lost it.
Do it. Oh, you choked. I really felt something.
He's gonna wish he would have been left for dead.
I was gonna say, I don't know any more Seagal movies.
Okay. I feel like I need to go back to that whole catalog and watch them all again. Though.
That could be a fun, like recovering from the COVID vaccine day marathon. It was like a bunch of stupid ass 80s Steven Seagal movies. Yeah, that may be my plan for May 19th. So are you going with Jack Black, Lyle?
No, he went with.
No. You went with Steven Seagal. Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a weird question.
Yeah, it is. Huh? All right. Lastly, question 4. Once someone asked Abraham Lincoln's widow if her late husband had any hobbies while he still lived. She replied with one word. What was it?
Pussy. Come on, Abe Lincoln licked pussy.
Was it stamps?
Stamps.
Was it B?
Stamps.
Naps.
Wait, naps?
Was it C?
Naps.
Checkers.
Yeah.
Or was it D? Cats.
Some of those I wouldn't consider hobbies.
That's all. When she was asked that direct question, that this was her response.
Such
one
as
word.
Naps and cats.
Naps, checkers, or cats.
I have 2 hobbies: sleeping and cats. Okay. Tough.
What are you gonna go with, Roger?
Funny how pussy did end up on the list after our little joke. I'm gonna go with. I think naps might just be kind of like a funny thing for a president to say.
Okay, you're going with naps.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Jon-Mark?
Kind of rooting for cats.
I'm going with stamps because I don't know. It seems like something that old Honest Abe would be into. Stamps. I don't know. Did stamps even exist back in the day? I don't know.
I was thinking about that too. God, 1800. Well, I guess it would have to. Some sort of postal.
Right?
Thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going with stamps.
Yeah. Okay. Lyle?
I'm going with crayons. Oh. I thought it was a rhyme thing. I'm going to go with the naps. I would think being a president, especially what I think any president, doesn't matter what time frame, dude, you're going to be taking naps because you're not going to be sleeping much either.
It's true.
Because I think you're going to be up throughout the night and be
that tracks.
Their shit.
That tracks.
And back then, it's the weird thing. They had 2 sleeps. That's what they called it. You would sleep until, you go to bed like at 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock, and you would work from 11 to 12 to 1, and then you go to the second sleep, which you would wake up in the morning, and then start your normal chores. Mm-hmm. So that's different from now, like how we work and live today. It's different. So I think naps would keep you going forward in your day.
I keep thinking about stamps. I'm curious to see what the answer here is, because the stamps thing, I don't know when stamps were invented, but they couldn't have been
stately. Would it be regional?
They were probably in his lifetime. Wasn't the postal service invented in the 1800s? Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Would it be like state-wise?
Well, that's the thing. Is like, would the stamps all be different? Would they all?
Well, this just makes us sound stupid and like uninformed.
This makes us sound stupid and uninformed.
This thing?
Yeah. Christopher and I said "pussy" in unison before we got going. Before we were even bartering about stamps, man. All right, let's see where we're at.
Okay, just a sec. Hold on. Sorry, I'm really suffering. Apologies. I'm gonna mute myself.
I'm really suffering from your hobby of cats over there.
Cats. Okay. Question 1. Okay. A woman in Poland was looking out her window, and she saw what she believed to be a trapped iguana or something to that effect. So she called for help.
Please be a croissant. Please be a croissant.
Turns out it was a motherfucking croissant.
Yes.
Nice.
It was just so funny looking though, and I thought it was funny.
It almost looked like it had a little tongue come out the top of it, like licking the tree, licking the tree.
Well, that's what's funny is I'm telling you, I don't know if my mind would have got to croissant.
Croissant. I hadn't said it. Yeah.
I was immediately seeing it as fur, like it looked like kind of a funny angle of a cat, like a fluffy cat. Yeah. Hilarious.
Ron and Jon-Mark both got that for 2 points.
2 points.
Bat.
Ding 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 ding.
Thank you, sir.
I can't imagine why our downloads are slipping.
Me either.
I think we're putting out the greatest show on planet Earth. Is that a bird?
Question 2. Kanye West.
Oh, there's a train.
Sorry.
And a helicopter.
Train wreck.
Oh, a train wreck in the back. Nope, that's in the front.
Kanye West has a new logo he's trying to launch for his Yeezy brand of clothing. Unfortunately, a large corporation is legally trying to block him from releasing this logo as they believe it's a bit too close to their logo. I think they have a point here. I'm going to send it on over to you guys. You'll see pretty quickly. And Ronster might have been onto something.
Good Lord. Okay, it's the Walmart butthole logo, but instead of the dashes, it's with dots.
It's like if the butthole was a GIF, it's in the pucker mode.
Yeah. Yes, something's about to come in or out. We can't know.
But you know.
Yeah, I mean, come on, look at that. Yeah, could it be a star? Could it be a sun? Sure. But what is it actually? I'm going to send you... go ahead on to your next question. I'm going to send the Butthole Surfers logo.
This is the thing, though. It's like, there's... it's stupid because it's like you can take this is like trying to
copyright a circle,
copyright the word fucking whatever, you know what I mean? It's like it's a fucking word. You can't it's a shape. It's like fucking bleh.
Well, the thing is I could just put that out of a K and then nobody would even have a problem with it, and who would be the wiser?
The first thing that popped up looking at Butthole Surfers logo is a side-by-side with the Walmart logo. So that's what I'm sending over. Yeah. I mean, come on. It's the same. It's the same thing, essentially. Oh, I accidentally loved it.
Why do I love it when you do that? Okay.
I love butthole.
Nobody got that right. Understandably.
Yeah.
Question 3. Quarantine has been tough on everyone, even our famous friends. This actor took to social media to share a video where he talked about that he's in the worst shape of his life, and it's tough on everyone right now. And I'm going to send over a screenshot here. Bippity-bappity-boop.
Oh, it is Will Smith, and he, that is about the worst shape I've seen him in. He does. Isn't it weird how much he looks like Uncle Phil? Crazy.
Yeah. He's relatively in really good shape most of his life.
Seems like Uncle Phil would wear that windbreaker too, and that sweater, whatever it is.
Jon-Mark got that right for a point there. Put him in the lead there, 3-2 to Ron. Lastly,
so this is this controversial? Did you say, or did I make that part up?
You made that part up.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I'm confusing it with because you posted something today, Chris, that all these guys saying that you are getting nailed. That what was it? Oh, people coming out of COVID, and everyone is expecting everyone else to be doughy and soft and pale, but some people are coming out all ripped. That's not fair. Yeah. We should all be on the same page. It's a violation of social ethics.
It's funny. 15 pounds in the last week and a half.
Yeah, nice. I'm 5 away from where I want to be, but it's a key 5, man. Key 5.
Okay.
I haven't made this much.
2 hours, 34 minutes into this, guys. I'm going to get through question 4 here, okay?
Well, wait, did anyone get that one right?
Yeah, Jon-Mark got it right for a point.
Oh, fuck. I'm
Ding. Ding.
Okay,
Ding.
question 4.
Once, someone asked Abraham Lincoln's widow if her late husband had any hobbies while he lived. She replied with one fucking word. Pussy. She said cats. He fucking loved cats. He had a fucking cat thing.
Yeah, I feel like I knew that he liked cats, but I guess I just don't accept cats as a hobby.
No, that's fair.
Well,
That's
you know,
fair.
Looking at it all wrong. Looking at it all wrong.
Okay, that means Jon-Mark is our winner. Congratulations, Jon-Mark. But more importantly, congratulations, Ron. Other Ron.
The other Ron.
Ding, ding, ding,
Two
I
and
like
Ron.
it when Ron has twice the winning potential.
Two and Ron.
Yeah, congrats. You will go into a chance to. Well, you'll be going into the championship round at some point.
Yeah.
For a chance for an actual prize. By the way, I did look it up. Stamps came out in 1940, so they were around for about, or 1840. They were around for about
I was like,
20 years before.
I was gonna say 1940. What the fuck?
yeah, I
he
know
died.
that like Abe Lincoln had like a correspondence with like an 11-year-old girl who was like, "You should grow a beard. You'd think you'd look better with a beard." That was when he didn't have a fucking beard, and that's why he grew a fucking beard.
Is that a true story? That's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that little boy grew up to invent popsicles. See, full circle here, folks. You don't get that kind of thing with Dateline NBC. You don't get it with Crime Junkies or whatever podcast y'all are listening to. By the way, what are you guys listening to? So if you like us, since you like us, maybe when you comment on this week's show, comment on it whatever you'd like, but add to it what you guys are listening to. I'm curious if anything correlates, or if you just like us and you listen to the other shit too.
Yeah, so we can copy that shit.
Well, we tried. I tried to tap in. I tried to do that. The first few episodes of How Bizarre was very much more structured along that way. We tried not doing the shoot the shit stuff in the beginning, and going right to the topic and then ending the show. It's just nothing ever really bumped the numbers. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's no mystery there. Maybe it's just not that good of a show.
We'll just be here hanging out, and you can too.
Anyway, let's get on out of here. Tune in next week. We will be talking about 9/11. That'll get them. That'll hook them. You know?
Yeah.
And, get them back into conspiracy theories.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. We're going to have fun. Going to talk about people falling out of buildings, planes. Not fucking 20 years, motherfuckers. We kind of have to talk about 9/11 this year. I don't think it'll be a 9/11 show. I just don't feel like laying out all the theories and getting into all that. But no way we're going to get around talking about 9/11 this September, because it's 20 fucking years. And just that thought alone, it just baffles me.
You know what you do is talk about everything that happened on 9/11, but the 9/11.
Well,
not the 9/11 show.
Technically the 9/11 show.
Well, you can talk about like Building 8 and the other things, and not so much the Twin Towers, but like everything else that went on around it, like Pentagon and all that. Yeah. And call it not the 9/11 show.
It's interesting how many crime shows I hear where somebody was like about to go be embroiled in this big scandal, celebrity or otherwise, and they're like, fuck, my life's about to be over. And then they wake up to 9/11. And it's like, there's no way that they weren't fucking celebrating 9/11, because it wiped their story completely off the face of the earth forever. Like, it's not like we ever got back to it. It was just gone. It's kind of crazy how that can work. Worked.
Like the Weinstein thing. Whatever happened to that? Where's his ex-girlfriend? Where's,
talking about
Weinstein in prison.
Oh, there's you talking about Epstein's Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah, what is going on with Ghislaine? Do we have any update on her?
She's in prison. She tried to do some kind of appeals, and they're like, nope, fuck that. She's going to court.
She's still alive.
Yep, she's still alive. They're still.
I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. People are going to say, and I think a lot of people are going to say, this is a clone. This is a lookalike.
Good point.
They killed the original Ghislaine, and we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes. All right, let's get out of here. Tune in next week, y'all. Bye.
Night, guys.
Bye. Was that the most pants shittingest thing you've ever experienced?
No, Jon-Mark, it wasn't, and you know
besides,
it wasn't.
Besides actually shitting your pants.
Wow, what a dick way to phrase it.
There's so much snark on both sides there.